Here we go. Here we go.
Welcome to Drawing Hive.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Oh, that video goes a little bit longer than I thought it did. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you are here to draw, you're in the right place. This is Drawing Hive. Just a reminder, it's brought to you by Visual Arts Passage. We offer mentorships, courses for illustrators and fine arts. We focus on developing career. We pair you with many of the greatest artists that are working in the game, and they make it their goal to help you to get you doing what you love, which is making art in many different arenas. So tonight we are drawing film noir. We've got a very special guest tonight, Scott Anderson, and I want to give credit where credit's due. Scott picked out all the reference for tonight. For those of you who are disappointed, this is the first time I'm doing the intro. John's not going to be here tonight. It's his annual day off.
We make him take a day off once a year, whether he needs it or not.
Yeah, we make him just take one day off. He gets one day off, and today's the day. It coincides with the day Scott chose reference, which I don't think is a coincidence.
It's a Cold War between us.
I think John took it very personally. But anyway, we got some awesome reference tonight. We're doing Burt Lancaster, Veronica Lake, Robert Mitchum, and Ava Garner. All of this references on the website. Once we're done doing this intro, I'll drop the link in the chat if you need it. Tonight's guest is a Scott Anderson. Scott has been a pop-in regular for Drawing Hive, but this is the night of Scott.
His official night.
This is Scott's official night in the spotlight. I was actually doing some coaching with Scott earlier just to prepare him for the fame that will follow this evening. And I hope you
didn't know there was so much.
Unlist your number, unlist your address.
Oh man,
Yeah,
all the media training that he told me I had to go through. It's just
we do because
Wow.
at the end,
Body double. Yeah.
At the end of this, we do dox you. No. So wait, here. This is sorry. Just for you.
Thanks, man.
No, Scott's obviously, I mean, you just look at the work and you can see Mad Magazine, Observer, New Times. I mean, Scott's one of the busiest editorial illustrators in the game. Many awards, many accomplishments. We're going to talk about a lot of them tonight. But this is just a look at just a few of those projects. So anyways, all right, we're going to start drawing.
Okay. Are any of you guys hearing the rushing snow type noise that I'm hearing right now?
Yeah, I'm hearing that too.
Yeah, I needed to see if it was me.
I'll see if it's me.
Timmy, it might be you.
There we go.
There it is.
Much better.
I think our audio team tripped over a mic.
It
Yeah,
must have been. You know what? My dog is in the room, and I think my dog did that. I did like how it built slowly over time.
I was like,
just
what?
It was a
Just to-
fizz from the champagne.
Yeah.
sound. I was like, man, that's good champagne.
Right?
Yeah, apparently that was exciting. All right, everybody.
Well-
Hopefully that can just like set the tone for the rest of the night. Anyways, Scott, maybe we toggle that video. Did something happen with your video?
Oh man, are you kidding me?
Try to leave your hand
Sorry,
under.
guys. Yeah, no, I am. I've been
darn.
painting a little bit.
But while you do
All right,
that,
guys. Yeah.
while you do that, no worries. We got plenty of time to fix this. Cassandra,
Yes.
what are you doing tonight? This is a new device, I feel like, in your hand.
I got a pencil, but I brought out my 2021 walnut ink.
Oh,
And then
really?
Oh, good.
Yeah,
It's a good
and then
year.
my beat My
I
B
beat you
ink
to it, Ray.
is now brown, so I may play with that. I've got a little acorn ink here. We'll see what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got 2021 ink. I do have 2023 ink, so maybe I'll play them against each other and see how's it going. But fall
All
makes me
right.
want to play with ink.
Looking good, Scott. Some great artwork.
Well, except did it just freeze again?
It did.
Man, sorry, people.
No, no worries. It wouldn't be a
It's
special night without some very
Uh,
strange. You'd think that it
seriously.
was like, yeah, that was almost like October spooky month sound effects. Um,
yeah. I blame John in the background trying to.
boy,
Yeah,
John has hired like a yeah, like a warehouse full of bots.
Yeah.
just to
There's
prove
a
that we can't make it without him.
yeah, that's attacking the drawing hive server right now. Um, no, Ray, what are you doing tonight? You're in
I'm
Adobe
work.
Photoshop.
I'm working in the 2024 vintage of Adobe
Yeah.
Photoshop. Yes. Loving these references. Man, it was hard to pick. I might do more than one,
Yeah, I
but
that's what I'm hoping to get to more than one too.
but I really
Me
want to
too.
like go all the way. And I'm very grateful that Scott's having minor technical difficulties because I need any leg up that I can get, you know.
Please.
Yeah, Scott, take your
Ah,
time. This is actually built into our guests. We do it as a handicap.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously.
Yeah.
we like to humble you as you come on.
Yeah.
To anybody who's watching and yelling, like, just choose your camera in the list. What happens is the camera from my phone keeps
yeah,
disappearing from the list, and we can't quite figure out why it's vanishing like that.
you know
So,
what, Scott? Don't worry. I
mm,
can vouch for Scott. He's technically savvy. He was teaching me
yeah,
about
Yeah.
Keynote before
this
we went
is
live. No, take your time. We got plenty to talk
so
about tonight.
weird.
Um, this reference though, Ray, can you talk about some of the lighting and like why you chose the
Uh,
reference that you're working with tonight?
so yeah, let's talk about this. So all good reference, I think, for me has a very clear directional light source. And when you have something like that, it's usually a strong single light source. In this case, there's two lights, but I'll show you how good this is. So if I turn the contrast up right here, you'll see that it divides the head, in this case, whatever form, but the head and shirt, into two very clear sides, a clear light side and a clear shadow side. And that makes it easier for me to see. And so if I could, the easier it is for me to see, the easier it is for me to draw. So this is really good reference. The cool thing about Noir lighting, a reference from this is if they do use two lights, this is a perfect textbook way of doing it. It's the first is a key light or a main light, right? And then the second is usually a light that hits the side of the form that's not as strong. And you could see that it's just describing the side of the face right here. Um, for me, so it does a really great job. The reason why they do that is to separate the head from the background so it doesn't all blend in. Sometimes they want it to though, but in this case, it doesn't. Uh, so it's really easy to see the forms. Very sculptural lighting. Um, on this. So this is, you could tell like a really good artist was behind the reference gathering.
Thank
In this case,
you.
this is like, yeah. All right. You have my Venmo address?
Yeah,
Right?
yep.
Did I give you
It's coming. It's coming. My video just conk out again.
Yeah, it did for some reason. I'm not sure what's going on.
Because the only bummer is I could just run it straight from my phone, and I may have to. You guys then will. I just can't see it, because my iPhone's like above my head, so
You know
there'll
what
be
I
no
would do? I
screen where I
would
can see.
I would recommend just pivoting to that, I think. Because
Okay,
it's doing
Yeah.
this every
Well,
time. I'm sorry, Scott. Well, you know what?
that's
I'll
fine.
tell you how good it is every 10 or 15
Yeah,
minutes.
you know what? Actually, Timmy, here's what I'll do is because I have a second, like I've got a Westmont Zoom account on my computer, and so I'll join this officially, but then just let me
Yeah,
join like quietly in the background. I'll be muted, no video,
perfect.
with a
Sounds great.
second account, so at least I can follow along, see what everyone else is doing.
Right on.
All right, I'll try this.
All right. Wow, Cassandra, that's a fun start.
Yeah, and this is the beet ink. Like, just to show you where it was. This was beet ink last year,
Yeah.
and now it's aged to like this.
Wow. That was
So
from what was that horror film?
Um,
Oh,
uh,
what is it? It's so
Hereditary.
Hereditary. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Just haunts me.
yeah.
Wow. So how does walnut ink change over time when bottled? Does it?
It gets thicker. So it
Yeah.
honestly it just gets better.
Like heavier?
Yeah, yeah. So
Really?
I was just testing it out just to see where it stands, and like this is just one swipe. Like it's just super thick. Like this is it.
Mhm.
It's just really thick.
wow.
It's awesome.
Wow.
So it ages beautifully, and like the walnut ink drawings like hold up great. This is from last year, so
Yeah, for anybody wondering, Cassandra made this ink on her own. She actually made a blog post for the school on walnut ink that you can catch. It's awesome. It's a really good DIY how to make your own ink.
yeah, it's just fun understanding how art supplies works, and walnut ink is such a classic one.
Mhm. All right, we've got
That is
Adam
so cool.
Anderson in here too.
Hey, hey,
What
Adam.
up, Adam?
Hey, Adam.
I haven't.
howdy do.
All right. I am going to allow, as long as everyone behaves, I'm going to let attendees use the chat.
Dad's opening up the chat.
The chat is open, so please be respectful. I will turn it off so fast.
I think I just
So
would have, if I were you, I just would have opened it up and not told anybody.
no,
And you
Right.
know,
no, but I do want to do this. Everybody select everyone. So make sure you're not doing hosts and panelists and tell us where you're tuning in from today.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
Yeah, but make sure
oh
it's
yeah,
everyone so everybody can see it. If it's just panelists, it's not as fun. Awesome. Las Vegas. We have
Viva
one
Las
listener from
Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Vegas, baby.
Yeah,
Oh,
Rochester, right on.
sweet. Yeah, nice. And I know my
Look at
mom's
that.
tuning in from Kansas City, the Bronx. Does that make you feel at home, Ray? Didn't
No,
you
I'm
grow up
like
in the Bronx?
super
You
far.
grew up in Queens. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
Scott,
Oh
Nice.
Come on,
my
man.
goodness. Yeah, I apologized for my whoever was from the Bronx. I'm sure people from the Bronx don't want to be confused with people who come from Queens and vice versa. So
We're huge in the Bronx. We
not
got a couple people in the
I love the
Bronx.
Bronx. The Bronx is great.
Yeah, I love the Bronx.
Got
We're big
family.
fans of the
I got
Bronx.
family in the Bronx. Big
Do you
fans.
really?
Friends of the shows. Yeah, it's great. Great place.
Really?
Great restaurants.
That explains why we're so well represented in New York. Um, who's coming in from the furthest away? We got Indonesia,
Mhm.
Brazil,
Brazil, Kenya. Oh my
Kenya.
God.
Kenya's a favorite of mine. Um, nice. South Texas, that's pretty
Ukraine.
far.
Oh.
South Texas is pretty mentally far from me. No. Oh, Scott, looking awesome. Here we go. The show is
Yay! We
the
see your
show has
hand
begun.
moving.
Look at this,
I tried.
Scott.
Look,
Isn't that
no
amazing that
fair.
Scott was having technical abilities and he was able to get this piece to this point while he was fixing all those technical issues? Pretty amazing.
But
You
it took him
are
so long.
Scott
One hand
is
was painting, the other hand was
yeah,
Hmm.
Scott
starting his
is
computer.
muted, but if you can unmute yourself, we'd love to hear an explanation. All
Here I
right.
am. Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Okay. I was just joking that yeah, and I created this all from scratch while all those technical difficulties were going on, which is a lie. I gave this exact assignment of what we're doing here to my illustration class just this morning. And so this was the demo and got it started. And then as I was working on it, I realized, oh, that's right. I'm a slow painter. I should probably just continue on this rather than starting from scratch, for the actual drawing hive today. But I have a second one prepared. So if I do actually finish early, I'm going to try and get a second one done as well. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, Scott. So now that now that you're able to chill.
Yeah, we hope.
No, you're good from here. I would love to hear like what your selection, because I think we don't talk about this too much. We often say like, oh, great reference. The reference tonight's fun, but we don't like go into the details of like what like led you to select the ref for the night.
Mhm.
And obviously, like film noir is like a pretty broad, I was trying to like narrow down like what qualifies for film noir and like what doesn't qualify. And I came to the conclusion it really does boil down to just the lighting. But maybe I'm wrong. But what led you to choose the ref that you chose?
Yeah, I think some people, at least like, I am not a film historian by any means, but
Mhm.
I think people who are big fans of noirs would also say that a key part of a noir is like a certain bleak outlook. It is the lighting. I
Mhm.
mean, that's the visual part of it for sure,
Mhm.
but also like your broken heroes and
Yeah.
often either ambiguous endings or endings maybe where like the bad guy gets away with it. Like there's
Uh-huh.
definitely a certain level of yeah, for lack of a better word, like a bleakness that I think comes into a good noir. um so why I picked this reference? Well, it comes down to, I think Ray said it just beautifully earlier of like, I really like working from very sculptural lighting whenever possible. And so when I'm shooting reference for my own illustrations, that's something I put a lot of time and effort into lighting my models, often lighting them with a
Mhm.
rim light if I can, just to give myself those cool shapes to get to work with. What tipped me off to film noir as a great source for this is friend who I think many of you know, Jeffrey Allen Love, great artist, illustrator. Jeff was the one who pointed out to me, I don't know, years ago that he was making a habit of watching noir movies and then keeping a sketchbook with them and occasionally just freeze framing and drawing, the incredible lighting. And as somebody who loves to draw in a sketchbook and is always looking for material to draw from, because as a representational artist, I don't really draw much just out of my head. I enjoy much more having something to work from to, make sure I'm understanding form and practicing that way. And so that was kind of a revelation to me where I went, oh, that's right. Okay, if I just look for good stills from film noir and create a folder of that, I'll always have some good reference to work from. So I've kind of built up a pretty decent library of noir images just over the last couple of years. And even went looking for a couple new ones when Timmy and I landed that this would be the theme for this particular episode. So yeah, just looking for good, solid shadow shapes that help you to really sculpt and define the form. That was kind of the main thing. I definitely wasn't. Don't take these as necessarily like uh, anything to do with the film as much as just like looking for what was available that was in a decent resolution so it'd be
Right.
relatively clear for everybody to work from. But that said, we got lucky of that. Both the Killers and the Out of the Past are considered all-time classic noirs here that we're working from, so that's kind of fun too.
What do you think is like for somebody who's not um entrenched in the noir? What do you think is like if you were to give homework, like let's say you're doing noir 101, what's like top three movies you're like, okay, you got to watch these.
Yeah, I want to be careful about that only because I can't claim to be that level of expert myself,
Oh,
but I know.
let's say you're doing like a an introductory class. This is at a community college.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
just like we'll just shout one out.
Yeah.
Harvard, let's just say that.
Say
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What would
Yeah. Like
yeah.
Harvard.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Then I would say no. I mean, I would say these two are definite classics, but then I mean, gosh, I mean, I think this is where I might get schooled here, so my apologies if I'm wrong. Certainly within the lighting,
Here, you
Casablanca
know what? I'll save
Casablanca
you on this.
counts.
I'll
Yeah.
save you on this, Scott. I'm gonna burden the whole panel with this.
Okay, okay, good.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and recommend a modern noir that, and by modern, just meaning, I mean, it's probably like last 20, 25 years. It has been a while since this one came out, but I think Memento is a fantastic example of
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
a
wow.
more modern day noir. It really captures the
totally.
noir spirit. It's
Yeah.
got the lighting, it's got the everything, and Guy Pearce is fantastic in it, and kind of a mind-bending story. Yeah, just like a really cerebral crime thriller, with a fun hook of that. You're learning what happened in reverse to a guy who's got amnesia. So yeah, I think that's a great example of a more modern day noir.
Yeah. And in color, which is kind of cool, but
Yeah,
still same lighting. I mean, it's the same
yeah, yeah,
lighting. It's
yeah.
just,
Really dramatic, dark lighting to it. Yeah.
yeah, really. Yeah. I do. I was talking with a photographer that's a really great photographer recently, and we were talking about how, like hard shadows are like coming back in, which is exciting.
Oh,
Cause
really?
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
For a long time, it was
What's
out.
back in? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Like hard shadows, like not like this like
Oh,
big soft
okay.
lighting.
Nice.
I think like I always thought of like whenever, and I'm talking about like portrait photography really. I always think
Yeah.
about like that like one photo of like George Clooney like looking straight into the lens. Do you know what I'm talking about? And it's just with
Hmm.
like it's like with an octabank light. So it's like this massive light. And it was just like super soft. And it just felt like it started this like 15-year trend of like soft lighting. But I don't know. Maybe
Here's
I'm wrong.
here's here's something that I would not in any way classify it as a noir, but just for that interesting kind of sculptural lighting.
Yeah.
So for any of you who are fans of the TV show Lost, okay, remember that one from
Yeah.
years
Oh,
ago?
yeah.
One of the things that I both loved about it, but also made fun of, and this is the kind of thing where sometimes details you notice when you're an artist and then you talk about them during the TV show with your spouse, and that's a great thing for your marriage, because that your spouse just loves that. Um, but so I would always comment on the fact, if any of you remember the show, it's set on an island and they had a never ran out, always renewable set of torches. Like these guys were never at a loss for like a creosote soaked torch with a
Oh
rag
my
around it.
God.
But that
Torches drive
led
me nuts.
but those torches led to some really cool light. And so in
Yeah.
particular, I actually show a still from the show to my students in my drawing one class when I'm just explaining lighting and how it works and how it relates to value, and I'm explaining specifically rim lighting. And one of the things that I would always kind of joke about, which again would drive my wife nuts, is uh, it always happened to be a moonlit night on the island because
Hmm.
John Locke, played by the great Terry O'Quinn, who's got a bald head and great
Yeah.
sculptural head just to begin with, the cinematographers on that show just could never resist throwing some rim lighting on it. And the rim lighting, you're being they're trying to lead you to believe as the viewer that it's the moonlight. He's being lit on one side by the torch and then the
Hmm.
moonlight on the other side of his head. And whatever, it's a gaffer in the tree, right? Like, I mean, it's a lighting guy who's shining a bright light so that that dome of
Yeah.
his got beautifully established rim lighting on the side. And so that'd be the kind of thing I would like, oh look, it's another rim light night. And it's like it was always a rim light night, and so
Yeah.
yeah,
You know
but it
what's
was
cool
fun.
though about that? That is probably the end of the era of like night scenes in like in like in like mainstream shows and movies being
Hmm.
filmed truly at night, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. I mean, yeah, they were filming in
Which
Hawaii, so they could,
which
wasn't a soundstage. They were outside and it was
yeah, and
nighttime.
I mean like
Yeah.
when you and I mean like even like I can't watch House of Dragons drives me nuts because every night scene is clear like so badly lit and
Mhm.
clearly filmed during the day.
I
And
I
they
hate when there's those night scenes where you can tell they've just like digitally turned down the
which
the
is
lights,
like
so to
Right, the
speak.
shadows
yeah,
Yeah.
are so strong.
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
like all of House of Dragon.
I
It
was just watching last night Bad Monkey, which I really recommend. Apple show that's a
uh
lot
Oh,
of
I was
fun.
curious about that one.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's really good.
it's funny. I wouldn't call it a noir, but it's in that kind of like dark, quirky criminal story.
Yeah.
Scott, you know
And
what it is? It's kind of like noir meets what's Fletch.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great
Yeah.
elevator pitch right there. Noir
Can I
meets
ask a
Fletch.
question?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so like I wouldn't say all Hitchcock would, but would you say like Suspicion and Notorious, like does that fall into film noir?
Again, I want to be careful because this is going to be archived on the internet, and I don't want to say things that have people yelling at me. So I'm not
Yeah. So
confident of that.
if you want,
Scott, yeah.
how about this, Scott? We just say, well, when I spoke to John English, he said,
He said,
and then just
right,
insert,
exactly.
yeah,
There you go.
Oh,
So what did
oh
John
my
tell
God.
you, Ray? Go ahead and
yeah.
insert that.
John basically said, basically strong lighting and mostly a very cynical type of storytelling, dark,
Like
moody stuff.
Suspicion.
Yeah, I
Suspicion, I
like
would
it.
definitely say that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
most Hitchcock films are considered noirs. I'm not confident of every single one, but I do think a lot of them are.
Hey,
sure.
guess
Yeah,
what? A lot of it is just a gray area.
Well,
Yeah,
depends on who you ask, but yeah.
right. Yeah, we're not asking those people, Scott.
I will say, if you want to get a great education on noir, here's an unlikely source that this will make Timmy laugh. That like it all comes back around to comics, right? But
Yeah.
if you guys check out the great comic by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips called Criminal, and that was two guys who loved noir who wanted to make their own comic book version of noir. And
Yeah.
they did a cool thing of in the back of every issue, they would run either by themselves or sometimes they get like a film critic or a film historian to do an article about a specific noir. And so some of them are the classics like Out of the Past and things like that. And then there are others where it's like pretty like obscure, not, ones that didn't do well, but, some historian is like, no, this one's really worth seeking out and,
Mhm.
amazing if you can find it. And Sean Phillips would then do a cool illustration to accompany the article for each of the issues. And
Oh,
I
that's
always
fun.
was fascinated reading these. I mean, there's so many of these noir movies now that I sort of feel like I saw because the description from the critic was so rich and so well crafted. And then you've got this beautiful illustration from Sean, and it can almost gaslight you into thinking like you actually saw the film. So I've certainly
and
got a long
and
list of recommendations just from that comic alone that you could draw from. So that's a great source if anybody's wanting to get like a film noir education. You might want to start there.
and Timmy, you, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Scott. It was the articles were only in the single floppies, right? They weren't in
That
the
was the
trades.
commitment, was that, yeah, they weren't going to put them
Yeah.
in the trades, but if you get the really beautiful hardcover editions, they threw a couple of them in. I think they didn't throw
Oh,
in the
they did.
articles.
Okay.
Let
Yeah.
me take that back. I don't think they threw in the articles. They just threw in the beautiful art by Sean, because
Ah,
his
okay.
illustrations are just stunning
Yeah.
for it.
I
So,
got all the trades, and then at a certain point, and then uh like caught up to the caught up to the floppies. So I started getting some of the floppies, and I'm like, what
uh
are these articles?
Yeah, isn't that cool? They've been there from the start, and
Yeah.
Ed made it
I
very
know.
clear. The idea was he was aware that in an industry that is going towards the trade collections, he wanted to create a little extra value, a little extra something, to compel you to actually pick up the issues, so that they're building that kind of monthly audience that's dialoguing with the work and as well as buying it to help sustain them. So. But yeah,
I
so
was
if for anybody interested in noir equivalent in comics, Brubaker and Phillips, hands down, are your team, and I don't think anybody would dispute that. I mean, like they are the guys for it.
Well, on the topic of like tying this all together, Scott, when you picked the reference, you emailed it to me and you immediately saw the connection with some of the reference you picked. Can you break that down with like Sin City in this? Because I loved it. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And then I Googled it and was like, can you
Oh yeah, I mean, it's very simple, but just when I sent the reference and Timmy was excited about it, and then I just made a side comment of the Burt Lancaster reference, with the bright white bandage on his face. It just made me realize, like, oh, surely that Frank Miller knows his noir, and I imagine he was drawing from that with his creation of Marv for who's the bandaged up kind of anti-hero from the original Sin City, as well as, and the bandages appear across a lot of characters too, Dwight and a few other ones. So that was just something that it hadn't occurred to me, but I thought, oh, of course, there's I would imagine a pretty likely intentional homage, from Burt Lancaster and the Killers to a lot of Miller's characters that he
which
created for Sin City.
I got to give you credit because I Googled it thinking I've had some like original, what I thought were original ideas on this show. Like
Uh,
one was like, I was like, Sherwin-Williams has an insane slogan, like cover the earth in paint or whatever. Like,
Right.
and And I thought, wow, like one day I thought that on my own, and then I Googled it, and it's like a million people have thought that before. It's not original. Scott, no one has made this connection.
Oh, I'm sure somebody has. Just nobody's
I
made it to
Googled it.
you.
I did
Nobody's
some,
made it to you. That's all it
I
is.
no, I did some sleuthing. I did some internet slothing, some internet slothing. And
Slothing.
really,
I'm just
that's
picturing the animal sloth moving very
most
slowly.
people sleuth, I sloth. Yeah, no, I thought it was a really cool connection. And then when I posted it to Discord, immediately Xander chimed in, oh, Sin City. But
Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, very clearly, right? Like that is
yeah,
that's not just a modern day noir. It's like a love letter, to the noirs of old. I mean, that's Frank Miller clearly loved all those older movies and just, was made his own version on paper, and then they turned it into a film.
I always felt like Watchmen was like a noir.
In spirit, it totally is. I mean,
Yeah,
no question.
yeah.
And
oh,
yeah,
Jigsaw,
I didn't
right?
see that one.
No, I'm talking about the character. What? Am I mixing them up? Nah, I
I
said the
think
wrong one.
it's yeah, Jigsaw's not from Watchmen.
No, I meant to say, what's his name?
Is that
Never
the guy
mind.
from the Saw movies?
I don't know why I said Jigsaw.
It's okay, man.
Just, can we just move
Sorry.
on?
All right, we'll move on. Strike from the record, counselor.
We all
Can we
overextend.
just
We all
move on?
overextend. You were on a roll, and
I meant to
you go
say
with the
the
hot hand,
guy,
baby.
the guy in the trench coat. Ah,
Oh my God.
this is so
No,
dumb.
I
Somebody
forgot
that
his name. The
Rorschach.
detective.
Rorschach.
Rorschach. Yeah, there you go. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely a very noir, like nihilistic character for sure. Absolutely. Like,
Or, the Saw franchise.
yeah, that's more gore horror. But,
Yeah, yeah. They were just like, yeah, Timmy's more of a Saw franchise kind of guy. Yeah. Um, so
Shakespeare's later works.
yeah, Shakespeare was gonna get to that. Now everybody, we should move on to the next, like the second installment. It is please post your work to Instagram. We're gonna check it out at the end of the episode. It's hashtag drawing hive at Visual Arts Passage. And we're going to a much more simple system, which is just do hashtag drawing hive 219. It's the number of the episode, and it is the hashtag of the night. And I'll copy and paste that into the chat just to save you all the trouble. And I'm just copying and pasting what Xander used on Discord. Xander could trick me so bad. He could put anything in that, and I would just copy paste it and share
He
with
could
everyone.
derail with a single keystroke. He could
Yeah.
derail the entire show.
Yeah, he could destroy
Xander,
me.
so much power for you, man. So much power.
Yeah, Xander could destroy me at any moment. Man, Adam, that's looking awesome.
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it's looking great.
Yeah. That reference always makes me want to like paint like Andrew Loomis or like
Adam.
Oh, totally.
really bad version of it. But
Adam, what are you doing tonight? What materials are you using?
I've got a some really, really dark graphite, matte graphite in a lead holder and some white gouache. But then I've also got, my usual kitchen sink of desperation around me to reach for.
I like kitchen sink of desperation.
Yeah.
Be great.
Adam,
My
I've got a
dog-
random question for you.
Yeah.
Did you attend in, I'm going to guess it was like 04, 05, something like that. The Illustrator Partnership of America had a drawing retreat at the Society of Illustrators. Were you
Yes.
at that?
Yes.
Okay. That's where we met.
That's
So I don't know if you remember, but I was hanging out with Peter Cusack. And so it was just something about your name I was just like, I feel like I've met this guy in person, but I can't remember where. And
I've been doing the same thing. Thank you for
okay. There it is. So yes, we met 20 years ago, some
yeah.
19, 20 years ago. Okay, cool. So just wanted to figure out if that was indeed you. So yeah.
Yeah. No, and Don
So
Kilpatrick was at that, and Don and I went to the Illustration Academy together.
Okay, there it is. Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
So we were staring at each other during the drawing retreat going, why do I know this guy?
Yeah. Yeah, Don's a good friend to this day. He and I went to grad school together too. So
Thanks.
there it is. Okay, solved
Right.
little mystery.
Thank you. It's good because I was kind of going crazy in my head with this going, why do we, I know him? Why do I know him?
Yeah, why is it?
I
That was so
automatically
funny
want to
too.
quote Step Brothers, and they're like, "Did we just become best friends? What's your favorite
Yeah.
dinosaur?"
I'm
I
this
was
is
gonna say like so Scott, Adam's
Mhm.
the guy that bumped into you and made you drop your plate of scallops during that party.
It wasn't that kind of party, my friend. We were drawing. It was pretty cool. It was kind of like an advocacy workshop thing where Brad Holland was one of the head guys behind it. Tim O'Brien was involved with it too, and just a chance of like, let's get illustrators together and discuss industry issues that are going on, reprographic royalty rights, like things like that. But then also let's draw during the day. So let's see. I think Chris Payne was there. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, Chris was
Adam,
there.
Was, yeah.
so
Tim
Chris
Bauer
and
was
Tim
there, but
Bowers,
then
yeah.
house flooded.
Yeah, they so like the big guns were, Tim Bauer or Bowers, I forget which it is, and Chris
Bauer.
Payne and Tim O'Brien and Brad Holland, and they kind of split off into groups. And like Tim Bauer took people to the Met to draw. Tim O'Brien ran like a life drawing session. It was you had like opportunities to kind of break off into a group and do different things. And it was over, I don't know, 2 days, 2.5 days or something like that, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think it's something it'd be fun to see if they could repeat something like that, whether it was just sponsored entirely by the society. But it was in the autumn in New York City, and just it was great, fun
Yeah,
trip.
it was fantastic.
Awesome. I remember seeing
Scott
Chris Payne's figure drawings from that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I had no idea that the both of you went to that. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, just a one-off thing. I think they only did it once.
Scott, can I ask you a few questions that maybe
Please
might tell us a little bit about your journey?
go for it.
Um, so you're very, I know you work in education. You're very, you're like a very busy editorial illustrator that gets interrupted by my texts every once in a while. But, um, but one of the questions I wanted to ask is like, everybody gets their start, and I think that it takes everyone a little bit longer than they expected.
Mhm.
Leading up to working in illustration, what were some of the jobs you had?
So, that's a great question. So, I mean, starting, like as a teenager, I'll just note, living in Southern California, well, the southern end of Central California, I should say. So I live in Santa Barbara, and that's where I grew up. I started as a lifeguard, and then I've just had such a quirky progression of, the kind of jobs that I think a lot of people could relate to. I worked at a bakery for a while. I when I really started getting more started as a professional, so this would be after attending the Illustration Academy, I was just barely starting to get illustration gigs. Like we're talking just local
Yeah.
gigs.
Can
Like
I
for
ask,
example,
when you were like lifeguarding and working at the bakery,
Mhm.
at that same time, did you know what you wanted to do?
Oh yeah, no, I've been set on the Illustrator path since like seventh grade. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
And
So you were going to those jobs like knowing like this is not what I want to do,
oh
but
yeah,
I'm
no,
gonna do
step
it.
along the
Yeah.
way. Yeah, I was just trying to, like, yeah,
Yeah.
just afford to live, But
Right.
so but when I really first started, at least something kind of art related, was I had moved back to Santa Barbara in the fall of '98, I think it was, and started working at the aforementioned bakery very briefly. And then I got hired to be a graphic design slash bookkeeping assistant for a local ad agency. Very low, I mean, very small. It's a single guy, sole proprietor, but he wanted somebody who could both handle, kind of managing the invoices and whatnot, as well as just do light design, rather than him rely completely on his bank of freelance talent. He wanted to have somebody in house who he could pay less, who could just make quick corrections to ads and things like that. So I did that, and I should let me go back one step. Right prior to that, I had been living in Oregon, where I had gone to college, and then after graduating, I had landed a job as a graphic designer for Figaro's Italian Pizza, which, if anybody lives in the Northwest, they'll know that it's like a take and
Right.
bake operation franchise similar to Papa John's. So I was at the corporate office in Salem, Oregon, and learned, bluffed my way into a graphic design job. I knew nothing about computers whatsoever. I mean, nothing. I was such a Luddite in college, and bluffed my way into a position where they trained me on the job. And then when I moved back home, I just started freelancing, and then picked up a job briefly, one ill-fated venture, just to talk about, like, we all have terrible jobs in our past. One of my terrible jobs was for a period of, I think, 4 months, 5 months, something like that. It was pretty short-lived. I became, in title, the art director of a company that etched artwork onto wine bottles. And I remember asking the rich couple who started this business, like, what's our target audience? And they were like, people on their third and fourth marriages who have a lot of money, because then this will be the gifts that you get for them, because you don't get people silverware and, like, house infrastructure stuff when they're on their third marriage. And I just thought, wow, that, talk about a defined marketplace, right? Like,
Very specific.
yeah, very specific. So
Yeah.
I did that for a while, and I'll just say it did not work out, and I was desperately unhappy. And I will always be thankful for the guy of the couple, who he and I worked in the downtown studio, and him one day just saying, "Are you happy?" And me just like blurting out, "No, I'm not." I'm like, not happy. And he kind of helped me to see, like, yeah, maybe you need to move on. And so from there, the week, I think, after I moved on from that job, not knowing what I was going to pick up next, but thinking it's probably going to be another, a retail job or something, just to make some money while I freelance. A friend of mine who had had an established freelance design practice in town, she and her husband had been really, really trying to adopt a baby for a while. And anybody who's gone through adoption can certainly relate. Sometimes you get the call and it's like, we have the baby, like, can you be here in 3 hours? I mean, it can sometimes
Really?
be that kind of a situation.
Wow.
And that's what they found themselves in, where suddenly they got the call, and it's like, one day she didn't think they had a kid, and then the next morning there's a baby in their house. And so
Wow.
she
Oh
called me
my
up and
God.
said, I'm basically all but retiring my graphic design work, at least for the moment, because I'm suddenly a parent, and, like, we bought a crib yesterday, and like that kind of thing, like they were just
Wow.
throwing it all together. So she turned over her entire roster of freelance clients that she had, been building up for years, and they all needed work. So, I mean, it was like this smooth transition of, I got basically handed a graphic design practice, which was an
Wow.
amazing thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And then from there, I was able to build on, other clientele of my own, and still the whole time thinking, graphic design is something I've built up a skill at, and I can make a living at it, but I want to be an illustrator, like that, never,
Yeah.
ever losing sight of the goal. Like that was always the goal. So, slowly but surely kept building up the illustration clientele. And then I think it was, if I were to name a date, and I'm really bad with those kind of dates, but it would be somewhere around 2010, where I basically retired all the graphic design clients, like, one by one. Either they had dropped off on their own, or I, just handed them off to other designers I knew in town. And then just really focused on, at that point, I
Yeah.
was a full-time professor as well here at Westmont College. And so, but for, the time that I was able to carve out in my life for freelance work, I shifted it over completely to illustration at that point.
Did you feel like at a certain point, like, oh, I'm doing what I love?
Yeah, I mean, right around then,
Because
that
that can be
was,
kind of, I was gonna say, that can be kind of an elusive feeling, I think.
it can be, because also too, what I think a lot of illustrators can probably relate to is a sense that at first you may not be doing the stuff you want to do. It's like the work that comes to you, you take who calls, right? So my
Yeah.
first regular client, who I worked for like at least every couple of months, was Stocks and Commodities magazine. It means a
Mhm.
lot of bears and bulls, and and I don't think I've left a single image of that in my portfolio, because it's earlier work, and it's just not as assured as my later work. But also because, honestly, I didn't get into illustration to do financial illustration. It was just, for whatever reason, that was the first art director who, my work caught her eye, and Christine Morrison was really great to me, and I will forever be thankful for her. What's so funny too, actually, so Christine, John English actually did a piece for her once too. So he's worked with her. She's got a heavy Scottish brogue. I mean, she was like, literally from Scotland. And so I always knew when it was Christine, because she never identified herself, but she had this very thick Scottish accent. And every time she picked up the phone, it was just this quirky, like, and I say this in the most endearing way. Like I loved this about Christine. She'd always answer the phone, like, even though she's calling me, as if like, you know, that feeling when maybe you've got like you're juggling your lunch in your hand and you're trying to pick up the phone at the same time, and it's that kind of like hello, you know, like, you know, you're trying to make sure you don't miss
Yeah.
the call, but you're also trying to balance like a toddler on your hip, and you know, like whatever, you know, that kind of thing. That's how she always answered the phone. So I always knew it was her. She wouldn't say it was Christine. It was, hello Scott, hello Scott. Yeah. So I got this, you know, this article here about this, and I was like, oh, hi Christine, you know, how are you? And so she gave me the initial work that then bit by bit, I was able to parlay that into other jobs that were getting a little more towards what I wanted. And, you know, I always knew I wanted to do more kind of portrait based stuff, definitely entertainment based stuff. And the big breakthrough there was I got to do a job of The Big Lebowski, a cover celebrating the 13th anniversary of The Big Lebowski for LA Weekly in, I think that was 2013, working for Derek Rainey, was the art director there. And I did this job and had tons of fun with it, and thought to myself, that was that moment of what you were just saying, Timmy. Like that was the moment of, I'm doing what I want to do. This is awesome. You know, like and LA Weekly, you know, that's a highly circulated news weekly with a lot of indie cred. You know, just everything about that job was cool. And then Derek didn't call me for 3 years, and that's the way it goes sometimes. And you know, he was, I believe, happy. There we go, you found it. So he was happy with the job, but you know, some art directors, when they use you, they've kind of like mentally checked you off the list of like, okay, you know, there's my Scott Anderson piece. Now I want to, you know, there's a lot of awesome illustrators out there, and I can totally understand an art director wanting to share the love and, you know, work with different people. But he called me again in 2016 to do a series of illustrations for the best of issue of LA Weekly for 2016 that was going to come out 2 weeks before that fateful election. And so they had me do a whole bunch of imagery that was Trump and Hillary based, very satirical. And I just poured everything into it and kind of called upon like my Jack Davis influence from Mad Magazine, and, you know, tried to, you know, put that into the work. And that was the work that I would really say more than anything else. Yeah, that piece in
That's
particular,
great.
really, there's a whole series there. That was the cover. So it was all the different section openers. And that job, I remember getting a call the next week by the Hollywood Reporter, who had been, you know, a client I'd been sending work to for a
Yeah.
while. And the art director actually said to me, it was the design director, he was like, yeah, I picked up the issue of LA Weekly, and I was looking at the illustrations and laughing out loud. And I said to myself, where's this guy been all my life? And so I looked up the credits, and that's how I found you. And I had to bite my tongue from saying like, buddy, I've been right here. I've been like sending you mailers, like, you know, but it, you know, yeah, I clearly hadn't sent the work that really caught his attention, you know. So,
Yeah.
but that was kind of fun to get a client from the work itself and have the client identify
Yeah.
it as such, you know, like it wasn't because I sent
Wow.
him a mailer. It was because he really got excited about something he saw
I
actually out in the wild.
I can kind of see you in this one, Scott. Is that
That's me, and that's my wife Julie on the left. Yeah, that was our own little political
do,
commentary
do you
thrown in there.
are you careful about do you put yourself in your illustrations often?
Because of need, yes. You wouldn't
I
necessarily
can only
always
think of
see.
two. I can only think of two. I know that one, and then my favorite, which is the Jimmy Buffett
Yes, yeah, the Jimmy
illustration.
Buffett
That's a
one, yeah,
great one.
Margaritaville, yeah, there's
Yeah.
that one. My wife, whether you would recognize her likeness or not, she has posed a zillion times for me. You know,
Yeah.
like I mean, yeah, just so often. The one that to give you an example now of like more current ones, in the opening slide that you showed of my work, there's a portrait there of Howard Schultz, the former Starbucks CEO. And
Mhm.
so that would be an example of where I looked and found the reference I wanted of his face, which I took from a still from YouTube, from some like, you know, big shot CEO conference or something that he was a speaker at that had decent enough lighting. And so I took that from there and then sat myself down. And my wife is quite skilled at this point as a reference photographer. And she took like body reference of me in a sport coat and, you know, for the hands and all that.
Yeah.
And
Look at
Ray,
that.
Ray can relate to that too, right? I'm sure you've done that before, or Adam. I'm sure you guys
Oh,
have all done
yeah,
that before, right?
my Beatles book was all like finding interviews of the Beatles young, doing screenshots of them making the right vowel sounds with their mouths, and
Right.
then
Yeah.
pasting them on my body
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Scott,
Cassandra,
Now, okay,
have you
here's
ever done that for your own paintings for like the animals and stuff? Are you ever a body double for them?
oh, that's a good question.
Cassandra?
Cassandra's getting her mic ready.
Sorry, I
Oh, okay.
muted and I forgot that I muted. I was enjoying the conversation. Yeah, like I will just try to get like a posture right, and then I'll be like looking at an animal's skeleton and then try to compare it to like human to get it where I need it to be. And I look at hands a lot and just I'll pose my hand and then figure out how a paw would adjust or something.
Yeah, there you go. So
Oh,
we all use ourselves all the time.
perfect example right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I definitely was just trying to figure out how that
Yeah.
worked. And those hands were, yeah, how do you
Those
tell?
are spitting image your hands, right? Just absolute claws. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Yeah, no, I'm teasing.
Did any of you write off the clothes that you posed in?
I used to, I don't, I'm sorry, I'm not finishing my sentences. I used to rent a lot of clothing from a costume shop in town. It just seemed like for a while I was doing like some theater posters and things like that where I really needed,
Yeah.
you know, specific
Mhm.
costuming. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was all a write-off for sure. Professional expense.
Yeah. I'm wondering if I could have read because I posed in uh my wedding coat, my sports coat, or my suit coat, jacket coat that I wore in my
Mhm.
wedding. That was like the go-to because it just the light, the light loved it, right? You know,
You're right.
and I'm like I was just thinking about. I'm like I could have written that thing off. That thing has been instrumental
Uh,
in meeting countless deadlines. I would have
Yeah.
been audited, you know,
I
Yeah.
immediately.
I
You
But
have
know,
Oh, you're not gonna get audited for.
I I bought some like clothes that was like going to stand in like just to be useful. Like at some point, I was doing enough 19th century stuff. I just found this company in Texas that made me a replica of like 19th century sack coat,
Hmm.
um, which was like the kind
nice.
of informal coat that Civil War soldiers would wear.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so I've got
Well,
one of those, but you know, I could wear it like a normal jacket, except sack coats fit really weird. Like if you look at Civil War pictures, you'll see all these guys who have buttoned the top button, and then the coat is just open.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because of how they're cut, like you can almost never get that bottom button to go because it's just basically
So
like a box.
I used to go to my uncle Tony for he was a tax guy. and
Sorry,
and
that just sounded like the
wait,
shadiest guy you just
yeah,
It
he
totally
was.
did.
It's exactly what he was. He's exactly what he was. I will say this: his name was
no,
actually
it's
not
not an
Tony.
accountant, not an accountant. You would have called him you don't
Right.
even refer to him as an accountant. It was a tax guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. My tax
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
My
yeah.
tax
Yeah.
Yeah,
guy.
he does
Yeah.
tax.
Yeah.
He does tax. He
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
do accounting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do care.
Yeah, so I'll just be clear. His name wasn't Tony, but I'm doing that for this episode. He's no longer with us, and all of this happened. Well, I'm clear. Um, but when I was in my early 20s, starting with like commercial photography, I'd be like running through all the questions you guys are just like talking about, or like curiosities, and he'd be like, "Timmy, shut up." He'd be like, "Stop telling me these things." Yeah, and
I, I don't
yeah,
think we've
and
shared anything actionable yet. So
no,
I
no,
think
not
we're
yet.
okay.
I'm being pretty
The night
thoughtful
is
about
young.
it. The night is young, and I guarantee that eventually AI is going to allow people to really search through the long history of drawing Hive and destroy me someday. but
Yeah.
You know, I don't know
yeah,
how John Stewart and John Oliver's team does it, but I'm convinced
yeah.
that they must have some kind of like video search function, right? Where, you know, they'll quote some politician saying something of,
Uh-huh.
well, I would never do this. And then it's like John Stewart's team will find the footage
Yes.
where you said you would do that exactly that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
I
the
heard
Yeah.
gotcha catch, like they're amazing at that.
I had a friend whose good friend was like an intern for them and an assistant, and all they did was sit and watch clips all day.
Yeah,
And they
Cassandra, I was
were
gonna
like,
say.
They're like, it was
Yeah, you gotta brute force that.
exhausting.
So just old school detective work then,
Yeah.
huh? Like that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, I know a writer that is on Jimmy Fallon, and a lot of it's just consuming an absurd amount of media,
Yeah.
like
Man, that is
all
wild.
day. Yeah. And then just like being like, and then how do you make it funny? And then like the dead ends you can go down, just like internet sleuthing, and then just like being like, oh, that's just not funny. Dang,
Yeah, yeah.
I
dang.
thought you were gonna call them a words guy, you know.
Yeah, a words
My buddy
guy.
Tony, yeah,
Uncle
he's a
Tony,
words guy.
Uncle Tony was an interesting cat.
Hey,
Yeah.
wait, Ray, I missed the end of your Lancaster. Can you show that file real quick? I'm just looking up and all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh,
You're on to another one.
Oh,
I
that looks
Oh,
decided
look
to
at
good.
that.
stop.
Let's see a
Yeah, I
feature there,
decided
Timmy.
to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I decided to just stop before I messed it up anymore. And I wanted to get to Ava Gardner because I got like Andrew Loomis
Yeah, yeah.
in my mind.
No, I knew when I picked that photo, I was like, that's not from a noir film, but Ava Gardner is just such a well-known noir actress that I thought, oh, it's
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
lighting. Let's go with it.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned it. It has the look of it like like a promo, but like a
Yeah.
promo with the aesthetic of promoting
Yeah.
that genre. Yeah.
But
So
yeah, look at those sculptural shadows though, right? Like just perfect. That incredible loop shadow right under the nose, and then the way her neck, it just completely fades right into the shoulders. Like I love when shadows fuse together like that, you know,
I
and
think it's so Scott, you're
yeah.
bending the rules like barely by choosing like something not from a noir film. Whereas like John, we would do like The Lighthouse, and I'd be like, this is Willem Dafoe from like a totally different movie. And he's like, yeah, but it's better.
This is Osborn from Spider-Man. What are we talking about here?
Yeah. He was just like, yeah, I like it more.
Willem Dafoe is one of those guys, though. There are some actors, man, like especially as they age and the craggier their
Yeah.
faces get, like they're so
Yeah.
fun to draw. Like all
Oh,
the
he's so
wrinkles and
fun to draw.
everything.
Yeah.
Like Steve, have you ever seen Steve Buscemi? Like
Mhm.
Another
from
great one.
well, but have you seen the high school photo of Steve Buscemi and Angelina Jolie and how they're both like the same person?
What?
They look
No,
identical,
no.
and it's so funny that one could become like this weird character actor who kind of becomes like a lead, but is just known for being strange. And then the
Uh-huh.
other one is like has like a chapter of their story where they're the most beautiful person on the planet.
Right, right. Wow,
Yeah.
that's wild. No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I
Can you
recommend
find
it.
that
It's
photo?
wild.
Now I need
Yeah,
to
can
see
somebody
this.
dig it up for me? Yeah.
Xander's got it.
Yeah, Andrew's got it for sure.
Let's pull it up.
It's really weird, and it's honestly kind of an interesting like study of like facial features where
Hmm.
like because I used to always think when we do like model shoots for like catalogs or anything like that, it was always interesting having the opportunity to like work with models in person and realize often how I want to be like respectful with like how I say it, but like strange their facial
Yes.
features were oftentimes
In
Yeah,
real
really
life. Yeah.
really
Yeah.
exaggerated, and
yeah, yeah.
maybe not something that you would say like if you saw like a lot of these people that are like a Louis Vuitton or like Gucci model that are like would you could say like a cologne and perfume models, right? um
Yeah, sometimes they're distinctive, you know,
yeah, they're
they've
distinctive.
they've got a
Yeah.
Yeah.
really interesting look, you know, and
Hmm.
that's part of what's made them a model as
Hmm.
opposed to classical Greek beauty, you know, or
Yeah.
whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it.
Well, I used to intern at
Yeah.
MTV, and I remember one of my producers, like we were having lunch or something in like the Manhattan like lunchroom area. It's like like a mess hall basically. And he had said like, yeah, check out there's so and so on you know from whatever it was like live TV or something like that. Uh, and I was like, wow, they have a huge head. I didn't never notice that. He goes, oh,
Oh yeah, people in Hollywood are
he-
lollipops.
well, yeah, it's like all, and he's like all TV people have huge heads, like especially
Oh,
newscasters, like they have larger heads in real life. They look larger. He's like, it's a thing.
I'm
And I
just
was
I
like,
just thought
what
that was
is that?
I just thought that was congressmen from Florida that had these huge
Oh
heads.
yeah, oh
But
yeah. It's like yeah.
There
They
we
show
go.
up. They show up better on camera. Oh my god.
Isn't that so
Look at
strange?
look at those pouty lips on both those kids.
Pouty lips,
That's
bug-eyed.
that's hilarious.
Yeah,
He looks like he's on the set of Leave It to Beaver in the left.
Mhm.
yeah. Great actor. Tons of talent.
Oh yeah.
Both of them. I mean, they're awesome. But yeah. I have an affinity to Steve Buscemi just because of how weird he looks.
Yeah, he's had so many like classic roles.
Yeah.
I was just showing my wife and I over the summer, we've got two teenage kids, and we've been slowly working through like 80s and 90s classics, so that they know the films of our youth.
That's
And this is
fun.
a little bit later one because I think it was late 90s, I think, but we showed them The Wedding Singer by Adam Sandler.
Oh, I was gonna
And
say, did you show him Happy Gilmore or not Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison?
not yet, but so just so you know, Cassandra, Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore are both just huge favorites of mine. I just love that kind of just
Oh,
stupid,
so
over the top
fun.
comedy.
So
So
No
fun.
love.
quotable. And
No love for
well,
little
Scott,
Nicky. Little Nicky.
I think it's
Little Nicky
technically
sucks. Come on.
I think Lil Nicky is solid. I think they're all
No.
highbrow. I personally think Adam Sandler got like a bad rap in the 90s and early aughts, and I think he is way smarter than he was given credit.
Totally. But all that to
And
say
now
that was my
he's getting his flowers now, but yeah.
yeah. But so when we're watching The Wedding Singer, and all of a sudden it occurs to me as it was my son who noticed Steve Buscemi in it and was like, "Who is that guy?" And I was
Oh,
like, "Oh, he's amazing. Let me tell you about this guy." But it was so funny that my son commented on him of like, "That is the weirdest looking actor I've ever seen." And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
son, you have no idea. This guy he's a legend." So
he's a
Yeah.
that
true
was his
gem.
first encounter with Buscemi.
Yeah.
Right before Sandler did um Uncut Gems, he was on 60 Minutes, and it's one of my favorite 60 Minutes, other than maybe Lil Wayne, like early Lil Wayne on 60 Minutes. But it's set up as like they set him up like a hit piece. It was so lame. They were just like, they didn't do any research. They didn't realize like Adam Sandler is actually like an incredibly talented actor.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
if you've seen Punch Drunk Love. I mean, it's
Oh,
Yeah,
like
Punch Drunk
there's
Love's
no
amazing.
debate here.
maybe one of the best.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
Little Nicky.
they treated him like Little Nicky, which I mean, honestly, you
Don't
watch
mess
Little
with the
Nicky.
Zohan.
Scott, I won't say don't mess with the Zohan, but I'm gonna stand by. I think Little Nicky is good, Scott. I think it's worth a revisit. Give it a chance. But
I never thought about pineapples
the
the same way since.
yeah, but anyways, they they said like, and also another thing is people don't realize like he takes pride in these movies that he makes, and I'm trying to remember who's interviewing him, but they were just like, so do you feel like as a entertainer you've like finally matured and you're like stepping away from some of like what some people would consider like low brow, poor quality entertain, like they just dogged on him with this it was the most
Mhm.
ridiculous question, and he just like absolutely dunks on them in like the most he's just like, well, that lowbrow humor has generated like $2 billion in entertainment. And he's just like, and it's allowed like all of my friends to have like careers in comedy. And he was just like, why are you interviewing me? Like, why are you like, like, why are you doing this? I really love his spirit. I think he's a really interesting guy.
Yeah.
Oh
If
yeah,
you
just
if you
laughing
listen
all over the bank.
Mhm.
if you listen to his podcast interview, it's a couple years old at this point with the Smartless guys.
Uh-huh.
And one, what comes through is that he's not completely acting his characters, like that kind of like
Right.
hesitant, laughing, kind of nervous
Mhm.
laughter, kind of, that's part of his. It's not just a shtick. That is like part of how he really talks.
Yeah.
But it was also clear that the three guys who host the podcast just absolutely adore him. Like it's clear he's a really good dude who's well liked, and he was
Yeah.
very naturally funny on the told funny
Mhm.
stories, and it just showed like this guy has a gift for comedy. It may not be everyone's flavor, and I can totally respect that, but yeah, I think there's a lot more substance to him than
I like
Oh yeah.
I
people
grew up
might
in the
think.
90s with his comedy album. Like I can still quote the whole thing.
Oh my God, I miss comedy albums
Nice.
so much. When comedy
Like
could just be
I
like all audio, it's awesome. It's so
Yeah.
all of
exciting.
us, you
Yeah.
know, in my family's house with like my brothers, we're always just like, have another sloppy Joe. Like it's
Yeah.
just
Right. Right. Yep.
classic.
So.
Yep, that
Yep.
was what memes used to be. Memes were just movies we
Mm.
all quoted over and over
We all
again.
quoted totally.
It's true. But like Cassandra, what you're saying about like, yeah. Well, actually, Sandler's new comedy special just came out, and it's like it was directed by the Safdie brothers, or not one of the Safdie brothers, like the head Safdie. Um, and it's one of the
Safety
coolest.
Prime.
Yeah, Safdie Prime. It's one of the coolest comedy specials in years. It's really awesome.
I haven't
Yeah,
watched
I'll
yet,
check
but
that
I'm
out.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy. But no, I was thinking about Scott. I really loved this about, and we don't have to talk about Sandler too much longer, but there's one thing that I really loved. It's a story he told, um, that I've heard like multiple people tell, and it was about like when he was in school, he told the teacher that he really wanted to do comedy, and um, this instructor professor, I think it was at NYU, I'm gonna kind of butcher it, was basically like really troubled by it, that Adam Sandler thought he could do comedy, like, and invited him out and was like, can you come get a beer with me? And he was like, and I went out with this teacher of mine that I looked up to, and basically he bought me a beer and gave me like a pretty long talk about like how this is a terrible idea for me, and just like lectured, like just really talked the whole thing down. Um, from a place like coming from his heart with the best intentions, but not supportive at all. Which sucks. But years later, years after his success, he's at a bar with a bunch of the SNL cast, and this guy walks up, and it's his teacher, and says, Adam, do you remember
Mm.
me? Do you remember me? And Adam turned to this whole group, and it's kind of, this is like a story that like I think everybody knows. He looked at the whole group, the cast, his castmates, all these famous people, and said, hey everybody, this is my teacher, and he's the only teacher I ever had who bought me a beer. And I always thought that was the coolest story. It's like letting water under the bridge, taking
Mhm.
the high road, and then just like also just being like sensitive enough to understand that the person's intentions were not like cruel.
Right.
I don't know. It's like
Right.
it's a very
Yeah.
that's a in like I don't know. I don't know that I would have the maturity to do that, but I don't know.
That the story took a slight twist of that. What I thought you were going to say that he said was, "This is the teacher who made me who I am because
Yeah.
I set out to prove him wrong." Because that
Yeah.
can sometimes happen too, right? Which would still be a gracious take on Sandler's
Oh,
part,
Scott, it's every
if that had been
it's
it. But
it's every rapper in the hip hop right now, which is
right,
like my
right.
teacher told me I can make it. And I was like, where are all these teachers? My wife's a teacher. I haven't met a lot of these teachers telling rappers they're never gonna make it.
Never going to
But I
make
don't
it.
know.
No.
But it happened. It does happen. It
Oh,
does
I
happen.
had
Yeah.
my advisor in college
Yeah.
told me I should
Yeah.
switch to different, like not to be an illustrator because there's no way I would ever make it. He meant it in
Yeah.
the best way possible. He's just like, there's just no money in it. You're just not going to do it. Like you're fine, but
Yeah.
there's just no, you're just it's not going to happen.
That happened to me at the college level for sure. I was talking more about like grade school. Like every rapper that I think of, like they're always talking about their grade school teacher. I'm always like, what? I don't think your grade school teacher was telling you couldn't be a rapper. But anyways, yeah, it's a fun narrative, and I think it makes for a great story. Anyways, we are on our third and final. It's a long drawing session, so please post your work. It's hashtag drawing hive at visual arts passage and hashtag drawing hive 219, hashtag drawing hive 219.
Was Hive Noir taken?
You know what? It could have been. I didn't look. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
I was
not gonna
waiting
lie,
for that.
Scott.
I wasn't really,
Sorry.
yeah, I don't know.
I got excited about this new system, which is drawing high followed by a number.
Makes perfect sense. So
Yeah,
Scott,
yeah,
we're on a
we all
system
got
now,
to
man. Okay.
listen.
We're on a
We all
system.
got to make our lives easier. So I
yeah.
hear you, man.
I kind of got, also there have been a couple nights where we picked a hashtag, and then we went to it, and then I see like it's usually like a makeup tutorial or something, and I'm like, oh no,
So many makeup tutorials.
there's so
First,
many
first
makeup
rule of the new
tutorials.
system is don't ask questions about the new system.
Understood.
Scott, yeah, do you want to be a pop-in regular? Scott, this is coming along great. This is looking awesome.
Dude, it's so awesome. Yeah. How do we slow him down
Thanks,
more?
man.
So-
Timmy, maybe let's see.
I'll send a virus to his phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that'll start off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, dudes.
I want to plant this seed for the panel. So you don't have to answer it now because it's a tough question, but what is something you've seen, read, or watched recently that has like energized you, gotten you like excited about making stuff? Okay, so think about it. We'll dig into it like in 10 or 15 minutes. Or if you got it right now, you can throw it out, but usually that's a tough question to ask
So
people.
I was watching an interview with the Mars Volta. Okay. That Zane
Zane
do you know
Grey, is that what his name is? Zane
Zane
something?
Grey, I
Yeah.
think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were referencing the documentary that Metallica did about their whole like where they had to find a new bassist and stuff like that. And they were saying how it was the greatest music documentary ever made.
Wow.
And it was because it was the most unintentional music documentary. Like it was just like didn't set out to make this big thing. They were just like recording stuff. And I'm not I wouldn't say I don't like Metallica, but I wouldn't call myself a Metallica fan. And I watched the thing and it was like, wow, this is amazing. Because it was like the whole creative process, you know, over the course of like, I don't know how many years, but their ups and downs and things like that. And people who are literally on top of the world having to have like hire a therapist at $40,000 a month to help
Wow.
them figure out like basic band like communication things. You know,
What's it called?
You know, I have no idea. Can somebody pull that up, please and thank you?
I like how we've sort of turned Drawing Hive into like our own private secretary.
Yeah, we got people on the we have to have people like our people beyond the computer that could just pull it up, search Metallica documentary. I forgot what it was. Timmy, is anybody responding on that one?
I'm sorry, I missed it.
They're sending us screenshots of letmegoogle.that4you.com.
Oh, that's passive aggressive right there. That's well done.
What
It's just
happened?
that those people, I know those people have never watched Little Nicky.
I was blow drying, but I missed.
Ray was telling us
Uh,
about an excellent Metallica documentary that he watched. That sounds great.
But I'm not a fan of Metallica. I wouldn't call myself a fan. So that's why I felt it
But
was worth
that's the power of a
bringing
good
up.
documentary, though, right? Is that like
Yeah.
you may not even be a fan of somebody, but if it's really well done and you're utterly fascinated by it, I can totally think of documentaries that have been like that. You know.
Oh
where-
yeah,
Yeah,
I love a good
I
documentary.
think like the next one was it called like At the Mountain? It was like a play on like a H.P. Lovecraft title.
Yeah, the
But
Cthulhu stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it was Miyazaki. It was like dreams of like a mountain of dreams and madness or something like that. It was the Miyazaki documentary on how he was coming back and making making a film. He was coming out of retirement. Oh my God. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh, Scott. Yeah. I'm that was yeah. That's big time stuff. Miyazaki
Okay.
he suffers for his art. It's like
Oh,
wild.
he is a
Yeah.
perfectionist at a for perfectionists.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I
Yeah,
hadn't even heard of it. So check that out.
I think he's one of those artists where you sit back and you're like, I don't know. I came away from thinking to myself, I don't know if I'm willing to sacrifice as much as he sacrificed for my art.
I
I don't know
totally
if I
agree.
have
That's
that.
totally how I walk away from Miyazaki. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he is skilled and he is talented because he worked his butt off to get there. And but also he suffers from just he is a control freak at another level. Like he can't let go of control.
No.
But
And he's
his
never
vision
satisfied.
is amazing.
Yeah. It's a oh my goodness, yeah. Do you remember the part where did you see it, Cassandra?
I've only watched part of it.
There's this part, and I don't I mean it doesn't spoil anything, but there's a part where he's watching a screening of a film his son had directed. And
Yes.
he walks out and he's like shaking his head and he's saying like something to the effect of like you shouldn't put that much of yourself on film, like on the
Mhm.
screen. Like it
Yeah.
was foolish for him to put that much of himself on the screen. It was just this wild, like, wow, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, it was like he had said paraphrase something that it's like, wow, I heard Miles Davis say that. I'm like, man, are they on like this like they must be on the same like tier of wavelengths, you know? Um yeah, I don't want to work for Studio Ghibli.
No.
Um
No, just like,
after
but
that.
also like he is brilliant in his effort to capture movement in a way that is just awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a quote someone just shared. You must push yourself until your nose starts bleeding. Yeah, probably not a great role model. I don't know. I think that it's pretty easy to get like pulled into that like today you would call it hustle culture where it's just like grind yourself to the bone.
You know, I would say I was very susceptible to that at the beginning of my career. I
Yeah.
think
Ditto.
there was a lot of, I think in particular when like blogs first took off, you know, as the precursor to social media, I feel like around in that era, particularly in America, there was this real sense of pride of like working yourself to the bone. And I want to say this like specifically within the illustration community of like, you know, this sense of like, if you're not staying up till 3 in the morning and just cranking on pieces, well then no, you know, no wonder your career isn't where you want it to be because you're just not sacrificing. Like I don't
Hmm.
feel like it was
Right.
ever I want to be careful. I don't think people were like outright saying that, but that was the vibe, you know, like
I
that
Right.
was
totally
in
know
the
what you're talking
water.
about.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, what was transformational was so this is where um uh everybody's gonna just love me after this as they hear about my privileged life. But you know, one of the you know wonderful benefits of teaching at a college is that you get sabbaticals every, in my case, every 7 years. And so I've had two so far in my career. And the first one was in 2012. And I had young kids at the time, and my wife and I packed up the family and we moved to Italy for 2 months because I got like a teaching gig at a sister school to Westmont and was able to teach for them for a month. And then that kind of underwrote the trip enough that we could just stay for another month as well. So we lived in Florence
That's
and in
so
Orvieto
cool.
and stayed some
that's
time in
awesome.
Rome and Lucca. Yeah, it was this wonderful, wonderful time. So now everybody hates me. But my point of my story is that um, it was transformational in that I had been in that just incredible hustle. And all of a sudden I went to a culture that part of the culture every night is before dinner around 5:30, 6 o'clock, you have aperitivo, right? It's you have a nice glass of wine and you catch up with the people in your town. And then what also happens with that is the passeggiata, which is the evening stroll. And so everybody just like takes a break and unwinds and really puts time into community and family and visiting with one
Mhm.
another. And us witnessing that, it was literally transformational. It was just like, oh, right, life is meant to be lived. It's not meant to just be nonstop hustle. And so, I
100%.
mean, Yeah, it really changed our lives. It changed the
Yeah.
way I approach my work, and I haven't pulled an all-nighter now as an illustrator. And it's funny, I mean, I'm working more as an illustrator now, and I guess I've just figured it out because I haven't pulled an all-nighter in ages. It's been a really long time since I've even stayed up till 2 a.m. I just kind of don't do
Right.
it.
Yeah, and I would even say like it's not to say that like you can do all of that stuff and you might be more successful faster, but it comes at a cost that is
Right.
pretty heavy. And you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what are you hoping? First of all, you get one life. I mean, I
Yep.
guess depending on what you subscribe to, you get one life, and it's like, how do you want to live it? And do you want to live it just being like, I sacrificed all of my happiness so other people could consume what I made?
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know, that to me, that doesn't excite me. And I bought into it big time in photography and production. I mean, I remember when I was doing like I was getting into directing, and I had this opportunity where all these ad agencies wanted to do like in-house production teams. And so they were hiring directors. And it was like this little moment where like Timmy was the star for like a month. I got to
Mm.
go to like 5 different agencies that were hiring directors. And I was freelancing at the time, and they were all kind of like doing the show for me. And I went to all these agencies that had like, yeah, have you ever been like inside an ad agency? They've got all these toys and like nap rooms and like shuffleboards and pool tables and like air hockey and
Mm.
kegs. And I remember I went into one studio, and then 6 months later, I went back for another interview. And the first time I went in, the air hockey table, the sand that's on the table, there was a on the air hockey table, there was this smiley face drawn into the sand. And I went in 6 months later, the same exact smiley face was on it.
Oh my
So this
gosh.
air hockey, not
Mm.
air hockey, shuffleboard. So this
Okay.
shuffleboard table had never been
Never been
used.
touched. Right. Yeah. It's just
And it
there
was
for
just like
show.
these people were just being ground to the bone.
Yeah.
Like, and and then you get to meet people that work there, and it's like, yeah, no, there's no room for rumination. I mean, but you also think about it, Scott, like it's funny you mentioned like going to Italy, and like that's how you get interesting.
Yeah. Right.
What do
Yep.
you think Hemingway would be like without the travel?
Hmm. Yep.
Like without the life experience, without the like drunk story. I'm not saying Hemingway is perfect or anything. We probably shouldn't all model our lives after
I was
him.
about to joke and the heavy
But
drinking.
but I'm just saying like there was a lot of living going
Yeah, there
on,
was a lot of living. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
like I mean him especially, but like I don't know. It gets to a point to
It
me
was a
where
little
like,
cheaper to live in Europe at that time, just a touch, but
oh, it depends on
Yeah,
where you're living,
sure.
buddy. You go
yeah,
to
no, back in
Sicily. Yeah, you go
Hemingway's
to
day is what I'm saying.
Sicily. You go to Sicily. You gotta you got it easy.
Yeah.
Everybody go to
Yeah.
Sicily. Don't go to Sicily. Sicily's super expensive. No. But yeah, I I opted out of like the hustle culture thing a while ago. I just like, oh, you only get to do this once. If you're not gonna be happy, why, like, what's the point of it? You know?
Yeah.
But I think it's the balance, right? And it's
It's
like
totally the
a
balance.
Well, like you can work hard and play hard, you know? I think
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just yeah, it's this idea, because I think this is the thing that I dealt with for a really long time, and maybe some of you have had this. I felt for like the first 6 or 7 years me and Gianna were together, like I had a really hard time like going on vacation, honestly doing things on a weekend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like doing anything. I mean, I still have trouble with it. I bring my phone with me everywhere. I have never gone, the thing that I envy the most, I don't even envy it. I'm like baffled by it. When I email someone and I get an out of office automatic response, I'm like, what is that?
Right. Yeah.
I don't even know how to set that up. Like, like
that's like the
what?
laws they put into place in Australia, the right
Yeah.
to like not work after 5 p.m. So they just
Mm,
can put away messages up.
Right.
yeah. But
I
even
was
then, like even if you made it like a law, it's like that there were people there'd be people that would be like, God, do you know the competitive edge we get if we work till 6?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's just it right there, right? So I was
Yeah.
reading it. I read an article just a week or two ago. I forget, it was somehow related to the presidential election that it brought up this idea of like, oh, this idea will come up in debates or mentioned. Somehow it was the idea of a shorter work week will be,
Yeah.
not like it's a major issue in the election, but somehow they were noting, hey, this will come up. Did you know, kind of as an FYI, how close we came to it back in, I think it was in the 40s, and it came across FDR's desk and was really considered. But at that time, because of pulling the country out of the Depression, it was ultimately decided no. But there was a real legit like congressional proposal for a 32-hour mandated work week, like that was going to be the new thing that America was going to be known for, was the 32-hour work week. Yeah, we almost had it, people, but
I mean,
alas.
I'll be totally honest. Like I had a very, very difficult week last week, like emotionally, and I was not able to take a week off. I mean, a day off. I just can't. It's like not in me. And,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying like, oh, I'm such a hard worker and like, if only you all could just work as hard as I do. It's just literally my productivity was not good. I could have
Right.
very easily not done anything that day and it would have been fine. And I probably would have been better for it. But I just like, I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Like I think it'll be like Scott, what you're talking about, like that concept, or, you go to Italy, you go to Spain, this idea of like, things like a fiesta or things like this, just like this, like, culture of rest,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is a generalization. I know it's not the whole culture, but I think it's generational. I think it's like, and I
Well,
was,
and it's
yeah,
cultural. I mean, it's
cultural,
just, yeah.
generational. It's so many things.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was definitely, it's funny because everybody refers to millennials as like the whatever, the participation trophy. But
Mhm.
like, I like definitely feel like intense guilt not working, or like if I were to do a vacation, I'd be like every time I go to New York, it's like there's this like overwhelming pressure to like be busy the whole time.
Yeah.
You know,
I get that.
like,
I can relate.
yeah, it's
I'm like that, and then when I
balancing act.
stop, I'm really good at stopping. Like I can sit,
Really?
not watch TV and not listen to music and not read and not and just but I think it's because I have nothing left. But
Do
when
you
I
like
stop, I
scroll?
really
Do you find
stop.
yourself scrolling? Do you find yourself scrolling during that time, or do you
I
just,
do, but
yeah,
I can also I try to stop myself when I notice it happening.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
When you
like
Yeah.
notice
I'm
it
I'll
better
happening,
about
like
that.
how much longer do you scroll after you notice it? Is a problem.
I notice it, I put it down, and then 5 minutes later, I notice that I'm scrolling again. I go like, no,
Oh
I
yeah. Yeah,
this
I've
up.
done that. I do that on planes. When I'm on a plane, I will like manically like open Instagram, scroll, and then like
Right.
close it and like put it down, and then like manically like open my phone and like open it again and be like, "Oh my God, what am I doing?" Like,
Yeah. Never mind that. Or the
yeah.
one you do the one where you scroll. No, why am I doing this? And it's just as you're turning it off, something comes up that you actually did want to read.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so
The
now you
minute,
have to turn it back on, but you turn it back on and it reshuffles. And now you're scrolling, looking for the thing that you really wanted to read. But your phone is basically that kitchen doorway you've walked through looking for your keys and you walked out with a banana.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
This
totally.
is this
no
is
idea what I'm scrolling looking for the moment I start to do it. Yeah.
me and Christopher. So Christopher the model, who's on his walk across America, which is actually really fun for everybody who wants to know. He met with Salacus. He
You
walked to
did.
Salacus. Yeah, he interviewed Salacus for his book. Very
Wow.
exciting. Yeah, I brought my worlds collided.
Ha,
Salacus said that guy's weird.
ha.
Um, uh,
I can see him saying that.
yeah, no, I loved
Oh,
it because Christopher, if first of all, Christopher the model. So he's the first model for Drawing Hive. He's my childhood friend. I've known him longer than ever. If
from the
he's
show.
walking, yeah, he's walking across America right now. If you are anywhere across America and you want to talk about feeling at home, he will interview you. And he's walking. It might take him a minute to get to you.
Sure.
He's moving pretty slow. But he interviewed Salkius, and he interviewed Dayton Bissett, the comedian that I'm very like. He's this very dirty, sweet young comedian. He's the sweetest boy, but he's so dirty. It's so bad. But he interviewed them, and I really love this. Whenever he asks like meet up with them, he says, "I want to interview you where you feel most at home." And I told Christopher, I said, Salacuse is definitely going to go for this diner that's by his apartment. And he did. And I go, and this is what he's going to order. He's going to get 2 sausages, 3 eggs, and pancakes for the table. And
It's like staring in a mirror when
it's
you say that. Wow. I gotta bring
but I just want to plant the seed because this is my favorite thing. Pancakes for the table is
Yeah.
the most alpha order you can make. It's
This
amazing.
assumption that you want pancakes too.
You do pancakes for the table. Every time I've ever eaten with him, it doesn't matter if it's at 2 p.m. or 10 a.m. It's pancakes for the table. And then this is the move that I've adopted this. I do pancakes for the table now. If you have a guest that's new to you that you're getting to know, you give them
Yeah.
the syrup, and you say, you put the syrup on. You invite them to decide on the amount of syrup, and it gives you a direct understanding of how comfortable they are with you.
Oh my gosh, I hate
Because
that.
of
That's how you get soggy pancakes. I would be like, no, you take your own pancake and syrup it and don't syrup the others. Keep them dry.
no, this is a shared plate, Cassandra.
Nope.
This is a shared. So
But
I've learned
that's how Cassandra asserts her alpha
just
dominance
made-
by
made me
saying, "No, I don't.
soggy
I don't
pancake."
agree to the terms of this."
We're not
and
going
she
to
just
breakfast.
shoves it back.
We're not
We're
going
not
to
doing
breakfast,
this.
Salakis.
I love it. He did it to me, and I was like, I was so nervous, and I was just like, you've got to demonstrate. This is 2 years ago now. I was like, you have to demonstrate dominance. You have to just soak these things.
Nope. I would just be like, get another plate over now. I could no.
Elena called them patriarchy pancakes.
You know what you've done? You've just convinced me to enact my plan for why I don't order pancakes at diners. But my intention is to just have a hip flask full of my own actual maple syrup.
I'm all about great syrup,
Oh,
but you have it on the
Mm.
side so every bite can have as much syrup as you want. You know, if you put it on all the pancakes, it soaks through, they get soggy, it changes the
Okay,
texture,
so
like it's not okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm actually going to stand by my opinion on this, Cassandra, because I'm going to say that if let's say I was having a diner breakfast with you, which we haven't done this yet, so this could
Right.
happen still.
Right.
I order pancakes for the table, which is a funny thing. It sounds like a thing that people have said forever, but it's just new. Pancakes for the table. They bring them out, and I'll be like, Cassandra, you do it. And then I learn Cassandra does not want to have community.
And what I would do
pancakes.
is I would look at the waitress and smile kindly and say, I'm so sorry. Can you bring me another plate?
Bring another plate.
We need to break
And
this
then
up.
and then I learned Cassandra's not really community oriented.
I'm all about community oriented, but you're destroying the
come on, I'm
texture of something
teasing.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm teasing. But yeah,
I'm down with community, bro, but don't ruin my pancakes.
yeah. Just community, but separate.
You're ruining it for the
I-
community by doing that.
I would bury those pancakes,
Thank you, Ray. That's exactly what I did.
but
I
they
thought-
wouldn't
I
get
thought-
soggy. I'll tell you why they won't get soggy with me.
Nah, not
Because
if you
they
eat them
won't
fast enough.
last.
That's
Right. They won't last that long on the plate.
Exactly,
They
Ray.
won't
And
last
you know
that
what I did? You know what I did? I said, "Could we get more butter?" So like,
Oh, yeah, I love butter.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna need more butter. It's a
Mhm.
no. I'm
Yeah.
just all
This
of
is
this
like a
I'm-
diner in New York City. Like you're just a lot of
Yeah.
clanking, like old dinerware.
Yeah.
A lot of
Anyways,
handwritten tabs.
I
Yeah.
Now you
should-
just got me
Very
talking
fast.
about like food textures. Yeah.
Yeah, so I should be talking about how the fact that Visual Arts Passage, I'm promoting my childhood friends Walk Across America thing, but I should be talking about the fact Visual Arts Passage is currently enrolling. So
Nice
if you
pivot.
want to
Well handled.
if you want to talk to my childhood friend Walking Across America, he will interview you. So send Visual Arts Passage an email. But more importantly, if you're considering pursuing illustration or fine arts as a career, I really got to say our programs, we don't just do this drawing hive thing every Thursday. We do it, but on top of that, we offer intense mentorships that are like, they're not one size fits all. It's an extremely custom tailored experience designed to help you not only identify exactly what you want to do, but pinpoint the actual career that exists, the actual like livelihood that is like ahead of you on that path, and then map it out. That ranges from developing skills, building up what I think might be the most important thing, which is finding a community, finding that group of people that are going to support you through it, and then learn from people that have been there. Um, I'm really excited to say we have a lot of amazing guest speakers every semester. These are people who are working with the biggest names in the industry. Very, very, very proud to have Scott joining us as a guest speaker.
Wait,
Um,
what?
yeah, Scott. Scott, I'll
Nice.
send you the date. I'll send you the dates.
Just kidding. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
no. Scott's going to be joining us. We've got a whole lineup of guest artists. If you want to learn more, you go to visualartspassage.com. Classes do start October 5th. Enrollment closes soon. Several classes are going to sell out. The fine arts program is filling up pretty fast, actually. So if you're thinking about making this a career, one of the things I want to say, I talked with a student earlier today, actually, and like their first question for me was like, is this something that I can actually make a living on? And it kind of breaks my heart. It absolutely is. If you have the passion for it, you can make this happen. I just like for anybody listening that's like, I don't know, I love it. I'm not sure though if I can do it. And you know, we were just talking about like hustle culture and all that. You can do this and it can actually be a healthy thing and you can be happy doing it. There are fast ways to do it. There are really hard ways to do it. Our goal is to connect you with people that have been through the jungle before. They know the path, they've got the compass, and most importantly, they've got the wisdom that they want to pass along to the next generation. And so, if you're considering this, you know, reach out, shoot us an email. It's hello@visualartspassage.com. Go to the website, fill out any form. We're a small school by design. If you reach out, we have no automated phone call. So if you call, it basically goes straight to my cell phone. So that's by design. Like we believe that like community works on a small scale in a really great way. And so I just want to really emphasize that. And yeah, enrollment closes soon. So if you're thinking about it, jump on it. And if you want to donate your used car to visualartspassage.com.
Also, I will set you right on pancakes.
Yeah, and Cassandra will explain why my patriarchy pancakes are bad.
It offends my nature.
So
Yeah,
when you were talking about, the diner and the pancakes, so
yeah,
I think you guys know this, but I've been going to I go to the same diner that I went to 30 years ago.
that's
Dude,
awesome.
right on.
Because
Love it.
I'm now teaching at my alma mater, like, and my first day teaching there was interesting because it was the 25th anniversary of my freshman move-in day.
Oh,
Hmm.
So there was time that I wasn't there, but when I was there, I went to this little like 8-seat traditional diner called Angelo's.
Great diner name.
yeah.
And yeah, there's a picture of Angelo's front sign etched into the wall of Penn Station in the New Jersey Transit like hall.
What?
Yeah, like they've got all these little photo etchings in the marble on the wall in this one section, and one of the landmarks is the front of Angelo's, which no one at Angelo's even knew this had been done. But so my son is now a junior where I teach, and so once a week we go and we have like dinner together at the diner that kept me fed as an undergrad, where my wife and I used to
Oh,
go.
That's fantastic.
And I it's like I'm really into I'm really into diners.
Where are you teaching at, Adam?
This is at Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey. So it's like just a little south of Philadelphia.
Okay.
It's a little state school. I basically am the illustration concentration.
Same here, brother. I know how that
Yeah.
goes.
All of you work in education
Illustration.
one way or another. You know, Cassandra, Ray, well, yeah, you all work in education pretty intensely. Do you all have like, when you think of like a highlight reel of like your favorite moments teaching, what do you think of?
All right. So there was this day. It's, it's it's my favorite moment, and it has nothing to do with anything. But there's this day that I cut my finger on a plastic laundry basket, and I'm looking around for a Band-Aid that morning, and all I can find in my house are SpongeBob Band-Aids because my kids were little. So I put on a SpongeBob Band-Aid. I go in to teach at the University of the Arts at the time. I walk into the Starbucks under the school, and the guy behind the counter goes, "That's a really manly looking boo-boo you've got." I get my coffee, I go up to my classroom, and
Yeah.
it's a 6-hour class. So first thing that happens is kids are like, "What happened to your hand?" I was like, "Oh, I cut myself." "What? How did you cut yourself?" I was like, "What? You guys don't need to know why I cut myself." "No, no, how did you cut yourself?" So I said, "I got in a bar fight."
Yeah.
They said, "No, you didn't." I said, "I told you, you guys don't know what I'm like when I'm not teaching. I could totally get in a bar fight if I wanted to." And they're like, "No, how did you cut it?" I said, "All right, fine. I cut it on a plastic laundry basket." They're like, "How did you do that?" I said, "I'm throwing it across the bar during the bar fight." So now 4 hours go by in class, and I'm walking around, everyone's working. I lean over this guy and I say, "Okay, hang on, like this, you know, something about," I start to critique his piece, and he slams his pencil down. He goes, "Hey, back off, old man. Yeah, you're not so tough when you don't have a laundry basket to throw at people."
Awesome.
And that's when I felt like, oh, these people understand me. So I don't know that I taught anyone anything that day, but that one really stands with me as a favorite moment in my life as a teacher.
That's
That's
great.
great.
I
Like,
think
Mine was when I at the end, towards the end of my, because I taught in universities for like 15 years before I left to go full time being an artist, and so there was. I remember I was teaching. I got a chance to teach some advanced classes because I covered a couple of classes for my colleague who was on sabbatical, and he taught the advanced painting courses, and I got to. The cool thing about it is I got to pick TAs, and I picked um, my students that had my previous students that were seniors at that point, and I hadn't seen them in a couple of years, and they were both there were two of them, and so we were they both joined me in critiques, and I remember there was one point in when we all came out for a critique. I went to go start to talk, and then they jumped in and were talking about giving feedback to this piece of artwork, and it was like the most eloquent feedback ever that recalled all these things that I had talked about, all these principles of design, all these like uh, uh, principles of form and all this stuff, and I hadn't seen them in years, and it was like, wow, I can't believe I passed that along. Like, it was like I was so proud of them that they were able to, like, like, from where they came from versus where they were now. It was like they were giving this great advice and really helping these people. Um, and the students were receptive, and it was like this beautiful moment where it was like, oh, I'm just gonna not say anything at all, and I'm just gonna finish my coffee and my cookie that I
sit
brought
back and
out.
enjoy
This is
it.
great. Yeah, it was
Ray,
great.
your answer is a much better answer than mine was.
Yeah. I
Yours
thought
is
you were gonna say at the
funny.
end, like, and then after that I realized I was in the wrong classroom.
I can think of two. One, just to relate it back to Visual Arts Passage and its predecessor, the Illustration Academy. In 2008, John English invited me and an artist that many of you may know named Robin Ely. And if you're not familiar with Robin's astonishing work, go check it out. Robin Ely is spelled Eley. And Robin
Never
was,
heard of him.
yeah, well, you know, he's okay. He was my student actually when I first started teaching here at Westmont, and I started teaching as an adjunct very young. I was only 25 when I started, and he was in my second class. So Robin's only 4 years younger than me, you know. So it was one of those relationships that started as teacher student, and then yeah. So there's some of his work. That's all painted. What you're seeing there, what looks like it's wrapped, that's actually painted. He takes canvases and builds out the sides of them with marble dust and gesso, so that there's kind of a sculptural element, and then it's all oil painted, faux painted, both the replica of the painting and then the wrapper that you're seeing around it. So it's a very Trompe l'oeil type thing. I like to tease him and say he's the best damn tape painter in the business. Look at that tape. Anyway, so Robin and I, it was a relationship that, you know, moved from teacher student to just friends, and, you know, and then, you know, like work colleagues, you know, eventually as he became a professional. And so John had both Robin and I come out, because Robin started as an illustrator before he decided to focus exclusively on fine art. And we went out to the Illustration Academy. That would have been back when it was in Sarasota in 2008 as like the alumni guest instructors for that particular series of the Academy. And you know, part of what you do at the Academy is show slides and, you know, talk about your work and whatnot. And then they'll always have somebody introduce you, which, you know, most of the time that would be either John English himself or maybe Brent Watkinson, you know, one of the other full-time instructors. They'll give you a little pitch of why justifying to the students, you know, why is this younger guy earlier in his career here, why we think, you know, he's worthy of your attention. And I remember John made a big deal of when it was my day to do my slides and my demo. He was like, "We've got a really special introduction for you." Like he was kind of like almost like rubbing his hands together. He was like so excited about it. And so when it came the time, he stood up and started, and then just said, "But I'm going to hand it off to somebody who can speak more about his influence more directly. So Robin's going to now handle the introduction." And so to have my former student get up and introduce me, and Robin, I got to tell you guys, like, it was all I could do to hold it together, because
Oh,
he gave the most stirring, personalized, just like, yeah, it was just wild. Like, most heartfelt introduction. I mean, he took 10 minutes with it. He just poured everything. I mean, yeah, it was just, you know, it was honestly probably over the top, to be honest. But yeah, of course, that was a moment where I just thought, this is a special gig, you know, when you get to impact people's lives, that they'll say something this nice about you, you know, like, and then also you get to just enjoy their friendship. Definitely a moment as a teacher that I'll remember forever.
That's awesome.
That's so great. The story and the painting.
No, I mean that's got to be really special, and that's a full circle moment.
Absolutely, it was the full circle part of it, you know. And then for us to be co-teaching together that week, you know, yeah, just on like every symbolic level you could think of, it was just it was really
Yeah.
lovely. So, and I hang on to that moment now, because if you guys were to ever see my text thread conversations with Robin, you would realize that our love language is like abusing each other, you know. So like we just rip on each other all the time. But that I just have to remember that moment and go, no, he really does love me.
Oh,
You
that's
get,
nice. That's nice. I'm
you
glad
guys
to
are
know that. I'm glad to know that that's on the table, Scott, because I'm
your game.
yeah, I'm game.
yeah.
I'll make this
You guys are
text
some of the
chain a
nicest ribbers,
roast.
though.
Yeah.
What's
They're the
that?
nicest ribbers. I say you guys are some of the
Yeah,
nicest ribbers.
yeah.
You know, though there was one time they both ganged up on me for the kerning of my handwritten like "Hello, my name is" name tag. You know, they're like, look at this,
Oh, that,
Scott, look at the space between the A and the Y. I mean, like, what is that,
uh,
man?
you left yourself a soft
Amateur
target.
hour
You
here.
you were
Yeah,
a
yeah,
soft target on that one, so we couldn't help
yeah,
but
yeah. I was, yeah.
haze you a little on that one.
I know we met like 5 minutes ago, and that's when I knew like previously, and I was like, and that's when I knew I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna know these two for a long time,
Long time.
you know.
All right, everybody. In
All right.
about 5 or 6 minutes, we're going to head over to Instagram. So please post your work. It's hashtag Drawing Hive, hashtag add Visual Arts Passage, and just add Visual Arts Passage and hashtag Drawing Hive 219.
Hey Scott,
Timmy,
can
Timmy,
I ask you a question really quick?
go for it.
If you because we're winding down, I wanted to
Who said we're
know.
winding
It,
down? Drawing Hive doesn't
well,
wind down. It goes
it
off.
winds up.
It winds up and then it ends.
You said that at the
Yeah, we
same
take the
level of
momentum
nobody makes me
into the
bleed
next
my own
week.
blood.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, Scott, was what you're going to ask me time sensitive?
I was just going to ask if I could share a story, but Ray now has beat me to
Ray,
it. So Ray gets to
I'm
go
so
first,
sorry.
and then
Scott,
me. We're
Scott,
all just
as you've
tripping
learned,
all over each other.
I was going to say, Scott, as you've learned, Ray's pretty difficult. And we've done our best to control him, but our best is not
I
enough.
demanded that he
So
be here. Ray, please
yeah,
speak. Speak your
yeah,
mind, my friend.
No,
continue.
I want to. This will be fast. If you could share any artists that you would want, maybe three that you would want people to look at that influenced you, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great
Because
question.
I think sharing artists on Drawing Hive, for like, hey, you should go check out this person's work.
Yeah.
Right.
I think yeah, I like doing
Okay.
that here. So
Yeah, I love that. And so I'm going to start with saying, because it feels appropriate to the theme, Sean Phillips. Anybody who
yeah,
looks at Sean Phillips's work and then looks at my piece is going to like say, whoa, okay, I see the DNA and the influence there, because I love Sean's work. I actually own a cover that he did for a series called Sleeper that was actually very much a noir style thriller. Yeah, I own one of the covers, hangs in my studio. It's just honestly, of all my I've got a decent little modest but solid illustration art collection, and my Sean Phillips piece is my like prized possession. I just adore it. So check out Sean's work because he's underrated in my opinion. And just does fantastic work. And while he's primarily a comics artist, he does do illustration work as well. He's done several covers for the Criterion collection, DVD collection, which, you know, kind of like mini movie posters, and they're just wonderful. He did I think the Sweet Smell of Success was one of his that you could like look up if you want to see just an example of just his painted work. But and a tremendously nice guy. I've only met him on one occasion, but just lovely guy. So there's a contemporary. Then I'll throw back to the past, and I'm going to say, I mean, I'm just hugely influenced by both Dean Cornwell and J.C. Leyendecker. They're my two favorites of the golden age of American illustration, and I just think well worth anyone's time. I would imagine a lot of people here already know of them, and so that's not meant to say in any kind of shaming way. But if any of you have never heard those two names before, it's the initials J.C. and then Leyendecker, and then Dean Cornwell. You're in for a treat. Like honestly, I envy you if today will be your first day to see their work, because I think you'll find it transformative. They were just incredible painters. No, I'm trying to think of somebody also contemporary who I like. I am going to give a shout out to my pal in Philly, John Kraus, who I think we should try and get on this show sometime. John works digitally mostly, but he's trained as a painter and he used to do incredible painted work before he shifted over to digital. And John, I think, holds the reputation. I was just sharing this with my illustration students earlier today. I would bet that if you did a survey of contemporary illustrators, working in the editorial market, at least, of contemporary editorial illustrators, and said, name the best three idea people in the business, like who has the best concepts, I'm confident John would land on everybody's list. And if he didn't land on somebody's list, it would only be because for some reason they just had never come across his work. The way that guy casually throws out brilliant ideas over and over and over again, just like the kind of concepts that you look at the illustration, you know instantly what the headline it was that it accompanied, because it's just so perfectly succinct. He nails the visual metaphor in an original way with really clean and direct artwork, and he drives me crazy because I wish I had just a tenth of his conceptual brilliance. I think that highly of what he does. So there you go.
We've got a couple minutes, Scott. I want to hear this story. What were you gonna jump into?
Oh,
That seemed
I was gonna riff off of the theme of community coming up from our grand pancake discussion we had earlier, and just share with you guys. And this is, a big part of why I had asked Ray if he'd make sure to swing by tonight. Of that, when I think of experiences of community that I've had as an illustrator, there is no question I have one memory that is my favorite above all, at least at this point in my career, and that was the Society of Illustrators opening in January of 2020. Okay, so keep in mind, we all hear 2020, we immediately think pandemic, but this was a couple months before the pandemic. This is when
yeah.
life was still normal. And it was the opening of Ray. I don't know. You correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was the advertising institutional like that end of the Society of Illustrators show, because they do one opening for editorial and book, and then they do another one for like the other categories. So this was like the other category one, which my understanding is historically is usually not quite as packed out as the editorial opening. Like that one tends to get a slightly bigger crowd most years. So I went, and good friend of the program and of the show, Edward Kinsella III, known as Ted to his friends. Ted was there, and so he and I and his father went out to dinner beforehand, and then Ray showed up, and then another illustrator that we're friends with, Leslie Herman, showed up as well. And we're all having a great time, and it was the weirdest thing. I've never had this happen before at the society, where they closed down the bar and just kind of like they were closing things down at like 11:20 p.m. or something like that. I mean, it was
right,
like
that's
kind of
right.
shockingly early. And so, we're all having just a great time hanging out. And I flew out from California for this. Like I'm by no means, just so everybody's clear, I'm not a big drinker or anything like that. I was just enjoying the camaraderie, the community of it. And we're all kind of looking at each other like, what? We got to go? And they were very clearly letting us know, like, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, So
Yeah.
we kind of got booted out the door. And then the four of us, we all just kind of looked at each other, and I forget whose idea it was, but somebody said, let's go to the old King Cole bar at the I forget the name of the hotel. I don't know if you remember it, Ray, but it's like a classic New York hotel that has a mural of Old King Cole by Maxfield Parrish, which is something I'd always wanted to see and just never like remembered to go see. So all of a sudden, these four illustrators, it's like pilgrimage time. We're going to go do this. And we got there and just hung out.
Same
And
Regis, the same Regis.
the same Regis, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just the greatest evening. And I just remember like thinking that more than I think any other moment had made me kind of feel like, in sort of a sense, that I had arrived as an illustrator, that I've got buddies in the industry and we're all just having a great time hanging out. And here we are, paying homage to this great legendary illustrator. And just one of those, I'm sure, a night that was made even sweeter in retrospect, by the fact that it happened right on the eve of the pandemic. But I just always love and treasure
I mean,
that memory.
you were in the thick of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. And it was with my brother
Yeah, that
Ray
was a
here.
great
So
night. Yeah, no, man, I appreciate that. That was a lot of fun. That was a wonderful night, because I remember going in. I think I hit the restroom, and I'll let you guys go to the bar. And I remember it was like this almost like a film set, because
yeah.
the painting was lit.
Yep.
And the rest of the bar was dimly lit. So you, Ted, Leslie, Ted's dad, they were all you were all silhouetted against this like incredible painting, waiting, drinking, and I was like, oh my god, this is like straight out of Mad Men,
Yeah,
It
totally.
was
Yeah.
like, wow,
Yeah.
wow, yeah, it was a good time. I appreciate that.
All right. Are you guys ready to see some art?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's do
we got
it.
kicked out of that place, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I
Another
bet.
time.
I bet. I pity
When they
the
say
bar.
no karaoke, yeah, they mean no.
Turns out they meant it.
They mean it.
Oh,
All right,
awesome.
people, some awesome stuff here. I apologize for the
Ooh,
music that
Alberto,
is
that's
starting to play.
awesome.
Nice.
Nice stuff.
Oh, great job.
Killer.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool,
nice,
Charlotta.
Charlotta. That's
That's
awesome.
great.
I love that
W-
blue shadow.
Way to bring color into Noir. That's really cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I
That's
didn't even think
great.
about
There
that.
he is.
Cool.
Nice.
Nice.
That's so fun.
That reminds me of James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah.
and-
Oh, that's cool.
wow. Oh,
Nice,
nice.
Alana.
Love it,
Nice.
That's
Alana.
awesome, Alana.
Great
Cool.
job.
There you go.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Terry.
Terry.
Ooh, I love that blue.
I tried.
Nice.
I tried. Oh, nice.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I
Oh, we
love
got a new
that.
follow. Follow. All right. Nobody's getting Gianna follows tonight.
Nice,
Oh,
Nicole.
Nice
Nicole.
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Oh, I
Good
like the
stuff.
structure in that face.
Oh, that's
Oh, that's
awesome.
lovely.
That's killer.
So good.
Every night, Scott, we do one person gets a whoa. It's a
Mhm.
Keanu whoa. I had to disconnect my computer because of the weird, crazy sound thing that happened. So
Mhm.
I will do the whoa noise, but
Okay.
the panelists have to decide.
Okay.
So
Stand
just a
by.
heads
We'll
up.
let you know.
Stand by, let me know.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Oh,
Oh,
so
that's
That's close.
Love
That's
it.
really nice. Yeah.
wow.
Good stuff.
There you go.
George.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Ooh,
Ooh, wow.
Nice.
that's
Wow.
cool.
oh, damn.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's cool, Alberto. Oh, that's really nice. Great
Mm-hmm.
shapes. I love how you thought in shapes there.
Oh,
That
beautiful.
is
Wow.
Love it,
lovely.
Alexandra. That's awesome.
That is beautiful. Great job.
Nice.
Good stuff. Whoa, Chuck.
Nice,
Nice work,
Chuck.
Chuck.
Chuck, nice job, dude.
Lovely,
Nice.
Wow.
On Thursdays we draw. Love the handle. That's great.
I know, right? We have a fan account. That's
So
great.
nice.
Great stuff.
Nice.
Nice. Oh my God.
Fantastic. Really captured it there.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Nice.
Nice.
There you go. There he
Thank
is.
you,
Yes,
Chuck.
all
with
of
Not
the
a
the
panel.
Thursday
Yeah.
without that.
Yeah, it's not a
Mm.
Thursday without a panel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
that is cool.
Good stuff.
Good
Yeah.
Nicole.
Oh, nice, Nicole.
Man,
Nice.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
hell yeah. Love
Oh,
it.
There you
Leslie.
go, Leslie.
I love that everybody
Nice.
has their own little process that they're working on. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes, it's exciting.
Yeah.
I also love that we're
There you
seeing
go.
all of them. Like, you know, it wasn't like there was just one clear runaway favorite. I mean, the Burt
Yeah.
Lancaster maybe showing up a little bit more, but like, you know,
Good
they
job.
all
Yeah.
they all got
Last
done.
week we did Beetlejuice and it was like 100% Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Well,
Yeah,
because
no,
he's
that was
so
the killer
fun to
photo.
draw.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't make it
Beetlejuice.
last week, and I saved that photo because I was like, I'm going to draw that at some point.
Yeah. Beetlejuice
Oh
kind of
man,
cleaned up
Alberto,
last
you knocked
week.
it out of the park
Alberto.
tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a killer piece.
Wow.
Oh my God,
Whoa,
Felicity.
Yeah,
God.
nice work, Felicity.
Whoa.
I'm gonna
Give me
do
a
it.
whoa on
Yeah.
that. Whoa.
That's the whoa. Sorry.
Whoa.
Sorry.
That's
Really
good.
nice.
We're gonna fix out the we're gonna fix the audio for next week.
We'll
But
fix
yeah.
it in post. It's okay.
No, Timmy, I'm fine with you doing the whoa. I think you're
Yeah.
giving
Okay.
it plenty
I just-
of it.
I prefer it.
Love having a sound panel.
Ooh,
Oh,
Xander.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
Xander.
nice.
Thanks for doing
Love
that in between Googling things for Ray.
I was just gonna say, I'm amazed at how much work Xander gets done while we're sending him on errands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Googling things so Timmy can share them. That's great. Oh, nice.
That's great.
Awesome
Very
stuff.
nice.
Love it.
Good job.
Yeah. Love it.
Nice.
That's wild. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Ooh, Terry.
Nice, Terry. Awesome, Terry.
Nice, Terry. Jeez.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I like that.
George, that's great.
Which, by the way, Terry sent me and several of the people on the panel gifts, and I got Tony Rodriguez's book on like video rental stores.
Oh,
Oh,
Buy
that's
it.
so
It's
cool.
it's awesome. I also sent Tony a like a an unwrapping video on YouTube. I sent him, like, I had Gianna film me doing an unwrapping video. It's awesome. It's a great book. Check
Did
it
you
out.
have nice nail polish like his video?
I didn't. That would have been cool. I didn't think of that far ahead, Cassandra.
Oh,
Oh,
Jeff.
Jeff, what are you
Yes.
doing, man?
Mm,
Give them a heart.
nice.
Give that a heart.
Oh,
What?
sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, nice, Eli. That's awesome.
That's really
Nice.
great.
Love it. It reminds me of Persepolis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really nice, Nicole.
Awesome.
Wow.
And all
Nice
three.
montage.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
That
cool.
was
Yeah.
nice.
Oh,
Very
that's
fun,
cool,
Paul.
Paul.
There you
Nice.
go,
Yeah,
Paul.
nice shape design.
Paul changed his handle.
It's more
Changed it a while
Threw me
complicated.
ago.
off.
More complicated than
Oh,
that,
really?
Ray. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately. But yeah, give him a follow if you want to support the man. Yeah, great stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, everybody give Paul a follow. He needs it. It'd be nice. Support the artist. Those Instagram hacks suck.
Ugh,
Oh,
great
Yeah.
Oh,
drawing.
those are the worst.
Great drawing there, Ellen.
that's really nice.
Nice.
Ooh,
Wow,
Xander.
Xander, I'm
All
loving
right.
your color
Yeah.
palette tonight.
Hit that with a whoa.
Whoa.
Got two O's.
Yeah, Xander is Googling. He's Googling like a fiend. That's awesome. Nice stuff.
Mhm.
Good stuff.
Great job.
Amazing. Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like
That
an
really
MGM.
captures,
Beautiful
Yeah.
line work. You captured so
But-
much in your simplicity.
but the pose there too. That's so great. I like that. You know, you really captured that kind of the fearful looking over the shoulder. You know, the way her
Yeah.
shoulder arches up. That's beautifully captured there.
Mhm.
Yeah, if MGM was still around, they'd buy that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Jeff, how much time do you have, man? Oh my
Ooh.
God.
Nice, Jeff.
He does like 8.
I know.
Like 8 drawings. It's
I'm telling you, he's got a unit with him.
Mhm. I just think his hand is a blur the whole time.
It is. It's like that. Oh, that's nice.
That's
Great
nice.
job.
Good stuff, people.
Nice, Karen.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's
Damn.
Nice.
awesome.
New guest,
Whoa.
new follow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Wow. A lot of new
Job,
people
Maria.
tonight.
Nice,
Thank you for
Maria.
I don't
sharing.
know.
Nice.
Maria's been coming.
Oh. Well, new follow.
Yeah,
there
Maria's
we go.
Vap.
Nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
Oh,
Really
yeah.
caught the lighting on that.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Look at
cool.
that.
Oh,
Jeez.
It's really cool.
Love
Great
it.
drawing.
Yeah.
Pete. Dude, come on, Peter.
Nice
Okay.
work.
Pete came through.
Ooh, John,
Nice.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's nice.
These are just the images that
Gary.
Mark Zuckerberg is allowing us to look at too. That's
I know,
why.
right?
Seriously.
Fantastic job, Gary.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
it.
Wow.
So that's
Ooh,
awesome.
Always
Marissa.
brings it.
Look at that. Love it.
Look
Xander
at
started
that.
early.
Jeez,
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Santa, can you look up cheating?
Hey, wow,
Nice.
awesome stuff.
Like the lapels.
Look how cheating.
Nice, Jeff. This is a banner night,
Nice,
guys.
Jeff.
It really is.
Yeah,
It really
that's
is. We're
great.
going a
So
little
good.
long, and we're going long, but it's worth it. Love
I
it,
think
people.
we need a Hitchcock night too, by the way, and that can fall into like this nice lighting.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally. That'd be
Would
First
great.
little
love a
Nicky, then
Hitchcock night.
Hitchcock. Yes, I agree.
Mhm.
I want a Hitchcock night. I want a Jordan Peele night, and then we're doing a Wise Guys night when I get my Italian citizenship.
Presented by
wow.
Nice.
presented to you by Tony the Tax Guy.
Tony.
Yes.
Nice.
That last
Hey.
one was so good, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
All the way
Yeah,
that
from
was-
Kenya
that's
too,
excellent.
It's
right?
like an Art Nouveau
Excellent.
quality to
Mhm.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
great.
excellent.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
This is one of our heavier nights. This is wild.
Wow.
These
Beautiful
people are
job.
bringing it.
Holy
Oh my
moly.
God.
Dang it, AJ. Thank you.
God dang.
Oh,
on,
wow. Look
people.
at that.
That's awesome. Oh my God.
So good.
It's almost as if we had really good reference chosen since
Yeah.
we got John out of the house.
Yeah.
Like somehow that helps. What?
Just take in one more pot shot.
Hey, future Timmy, clip that. post it.
Yeah, clip that.
Ooh,
This is
Chuck,
awesome
that's
stuff.
lovely.
Chuck, man.
Hell yeah. That's
Ooh.
awesome.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God.
gosh. People brought the heat tonight.
Yeah,
Nice.
really. Oh, it's
Brilliant.
lovely.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
This is going to be a record night. I thought surely,
Nice, Eric. Oh my
Wow.
God.
That is so good.
I thought
So
surely
good.
5 minutes is enough to fly through all this
Oh
stuff.
my God, Xander.
Xander,
Wow.
that's great.
Xander's got a team. He's got a
Can
team.
you look up Betrayal? And yeah. See,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's a
Xander Studios.
So
Xander
good.
Studios.
Oh,
Eh, same with Pete.
Oh my
Wow,
God.
You
Peter.
got Pete
Yeah.
Studios.
Pete Studios.
Yeah. Awesome.
Love
Oh my
Nice.
gosh, I love that.
I love the mantras. I love the
Mhm.
montage.
Ooh,
Oh,
Yeah.
so
that-
good.
Yeah. Jenna, your debate
Jeez.
series is awesome, by the way. Oh,
Nice, Sally.
thanks, Sally. That's
Oh,
awesome.
Sally, that's so
That's
cool.
You guys
killer.
great.
Hell yeah.
Boy, that really has the
Wow,
Loomis feel right
Joanna.
there. Yeah.
Does
Yep,
yeah, does it?
yep.
Yeah.
So
Padma.
good.
Awesome.
nice,
Brought it.
Padma.
Everybody.
Hell
Mm.
yeah, Padma.
Yeah.
Ooh,
There
Nice.
you go, Maria.
really good.
This is
I love the
wild.
stamp.
Oh,
What?
great.
Nice,
Sienna.
Sienna.
Oh
That's
my
killer
god.
piece.
It just keeps going. It's kind of funny.
Oh, that's
Oh,
so
wow. That's
Are
great.
you all just drawing this fast enough
good.
so that it never
So
ends?
good.
This is the longest
Oh
drawing Hive
my
episode in
God.
years.
Look at
Wow.
that one.
Love it, Gary. So good.
Oh, you
Oh,
got to
yeah.
give Gary a heart. Just one. It's just like,
we gotta just
I know.
Fantastic.
Ray, you've got a kid.
Jeez.
We gotta get you to bed soon.
Yeah,
I
right.
know, right?
Beautiful.
I'm
We all
like,
have
when is
kids.
this?
Fantastic.
Mhm.
It's
This is
amazing.
unbelievable.
Good job,
Yeah.
Karen.
The reference matters.
Aha.
Hell yeah.
Hashtag reference matters.
Hashtag-
I'm never
Beautiful.
going to let John live that down. I'm just announcing that to
Nice.
everybody right
yeah.
I know.
Hmm.
It's
Thanks,
like
Oh
the
my
reference is
God.
great, but we went to sleep at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
because of all the awesome. I mean, look at
man,
that piece.
Karen.
Jeez.
Mhm.
All
Oh,
of
wow.
them are so
Karen.
good.
Karen, what an honor to be the last of a million drawings that happened tonight.
It was
No kidding.
fantastic.
Awesome.
Everybody,
Thank you so much for tuning
That
in
was-
tonight. I just want to remind everybody, enrollment closes October 4th. Several of our classes are going to sell out. Learn from the best, do what you love. That's the best advice I can have. You're going to be happy if you do what you love. Scott, it was a true honor. You are an esteemed guest. Thank you so much. I
Thanks,
hope we
man.
can I hope we can continue to have you on as a pop-in. You're a blast. And the reference tonight was absolutely killer. Thank you, Cassandra, Adam, Ray. You're all awesome. What a fun night. And see us next week. We've got a surprise guest we'll be announcing soon. And it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it is.
All right,
Thanks for
Yeah.
having me,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
have a nice
Pleasure.
night.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank
You're the
you.
best.
Yeah.